Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazing Bob, and today we're joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm very good. First and best always.
And last, and certainly not least, and for this episode, the best.
Debatable.
TheYipShow, aka Yip. How you doing?
Hello, it's me. I'm here.
Yep.
I've arrived.
It took the long way, yep. Just pointing out, you know.
For any new listeners that might have just, started listening as of recently, Yip is one of the founders of the show and an old host on the show and has been on many episodes. So if you go back, you can always check out the episodes with him if you like what you hear today.
Wait, have you guys been doing these without me? What?
Shh, Bob, don't tell him.
Whoops. Cat's out
He
of the bag.
Took a hiatus, you know?
Oh, man. All right. Well, guys, we're going to have a cool show today. First off, we're going to go through at the top of the show, I'd like to thank our tank patrons, Thick Lizzie and Cruxford. And I would like to remind everybody we stream live on twitch.tv/BlazinBob. And I would like to, that's it. And then, so we're going to go over we got one new voicemail, no new reviews, but we did get one email. We got another email too with a cool story, trying to figure out how to work that into the show and who we should have read it. But we'll probably work that in at some point. So stay tuned for that. And then we're going to go over what we've been doing lately in WoW. We're going to go over what Yip thought of, the whole Wrath launch, because we haven't talked to him since the end of TBC. And then we're also going to go, Yip took over guild leadership of our guild that we've been in since the start of Classic. And we're going to just go over, we've went through a lot of changes, but it's went really well. And we're just going to go over all the stuff about the guild, and I'm sure you guys have been curious because we haven't been super good at telling you everything we've been doing. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to do the news. Then for the audio listeners,
we did Naxx. And for Naxx, I felt like that was an appropriate explanation of what had been going on.
Fair. And then at the end of the show, if you're an audio listener, you're going to get the segment I promised you last week, but we didn't have time to get to. And for the YouTube listeners, if you want that segment, you just go check out Ruggs or Sarth's channel, and you'll see the conversation about gear. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word.
Item level.
Yeah.
Gear score.
Yeah, no, it's. No, gear scaling. Yeah, you'll see the conversation about gear scaling with me, Simonize, Ruggs, and Sarth. All right, well, with that, let's go ahead and jump in with the first voicemail.
Hey, Mel and Bob. Hopefully this isn't too awkward. I'm driving. You might hear some horns honking. But first time, long time. I love your podcast. You guys, that TwitchCon episode, that's just a Hall of Famer. It's just top-notch content. It really was. It was so entertaining. So I really appreciate that. I'm in your chat. You might remember me as Guess Who I Be, in and out sometimes. I don't have a whole lot of time to watch Twitch, but when I do, it's usually watching you guys.
I do remember.
Really enjoy you and Mel. Anyways, I've been, I peaked, my gaming, career peaked at Wrath of the Lich King. That's all I did, is just go to the beach and I would play Wrath of the Lich King, like 10 hours a day. It was ridiculous.
Sounds like a good life.
I did all the raids back then. I've been looking so forward to this moment for years. And the thing about it is, I just don't have the time. I can't get into it the way that I hoped I would. I just don't have the time. So I usually try to live, the experience I wish I would have through you guys, the podcast, and the community. And basically what I just find myself going back to all the time is just playing hardcore, Classic era. So I think that's probably where I'm going to live, for, the foreseeable future. I have a kid. I work insane hours. So I think I'm just going to park myself there. But I just want to say I really appreciate what you guys do. I listen every week as soon as I can on my commute. So just keep up the good work, and I really appreciate everything. So have a good one.
You have a good one, too.
Yeah. I was a little worried at the beginning when he said, I hope this isn't too awkward. I was like, oh, God, what's he
I
about
was
to
too. He
ask?
was gonna call us out, and be like, "Yeah, like the one that called out you for missing the jump," and we just happened to have
Yeah,
Sarthon,
I
who
know.
missed the jump twice in beta. It was great.
That guy needs to quit his job. That's what it sounds like. WoW is sitting here waiting for you.
Yep.
The
Can we
raids
talk
are-
about he did it? What is he saying? He went to the beach and played WoW, or played WoW on the beach?
I think that's just
I
all he
saw-
did.
I saw
Beach
he
and WoW.
either no, yeah, I was wondering. He either exclusively was at the beach or playing WoW, or and a more intriguing thought is he would go to the beach with his laptop. Do you remember like the satellite internet back in the day? You could plug
Oh
into your
yeah, and the
laptop.
thick laptops.
Yeah, oh yeah. So he's probably sitting on the beach doing that. And
Yeah, that's what I
that would be my
imagine too.
guess.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate the voicemail. Like, I hope I've gotten similar emails and different comments about people that can't play and live kind of through us, and that makes us extremely happy. And we hope that we can keep bringing you that enjoyment. And yeah, maybe you should have worked at Twitter, and then you could have got laid off and then played for 3 to 6
God.
months, right? Oh man! All right, well.
We went
the
there.
life.
Okay, so we didn't have any new reviews. The iTunes reviews have been kind of silent, but the stars on Spotify keep going up. So thank you for that, guys. But we did have one email. For old time's sakes, Yip, do you want to read the email?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Email. First email. Just wanted to send a quick note. I don't know if there's like 2 info. There probably is up here. From Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. All right. Just wanted to send a quick note. I know you mentioned a couple episodes ago that you had played your warrior for a decent amount at 80 before you realized that you hadn't trained your new abilities at 80. I used an add-on called Rank Sentinel. We have a few people in our guild who use that as well.
Yeah.
That I would recommend. Whenever it notices someone in your raid or party using a downranked spell, it will send them a whisper to let them know. Before we move on, let's take that apart.
I knew you'd
Now,
love this.
I got some privileged information when this occurred. I don't know if Bob shared it with the class, but Bob had played 3.5 days played, I think, before training his spells.
3 days,
Oh my
19 hours.
God.
I did disclose this information.
That's a lot of heroics.
That's a lot of heroics.
And I main tanked Naxx 25 and 10 man.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I also
Luckily, somebody had asked him to use a ability that he
Yeah,
was like, I don't
Plessy.
have that ability, which
was
is
like-
literally the only reason he went and trained.
it's like playing with training weights on. It's like how you
Oh
become
my
very
God.
good. You downrank
here's-
your spells.
Yeah.
Yep, DBZ taught me, right?
Now he says, I also heard you mention that you are going for Immortal this week. That would have been yesterday. We were having the most issues with Resuvius, so we started with him. We were the same way. Resuvius is an absolute nightmare. This gave us the ability to zone out. This gave us the ability to zone out and reset the raid if an MC got messed up and someone died. I'm not sure if this boss is giving you trouble as well. Yes, it's definitely
never.
the biggest like RNG death I think that's possible, but well, probably not RNG death, but it is like there's less people who can have control over the scenario, making it like very scary. There's no one who will be like, oh, like let's just have someone else do this, or we'll just have someone else do that. It's like it's just on your priest,
Mhm.
which is tough. So we were also the same way. I think that any other boss, like the whole raid just has to be like playing fine and you'll be fine, but Resuvius is like tough.
Mhm.
And then finally, our Strat for Sarth achievement was to have 15 people suicide at the start of the fight and do 0 Drake with 10 people. The next week, we killed 1 Drake and did 2 Drake. And did 2 Drake with 15 people. Oh, we killed 1 Drake. Okay, this makes way more sense now. We killed 1 Drake and then did 2 Drake with 15 people that had already had the achievement and let the 10 remaining people suicide. We lost 2 weeks of Drakes and 1 week of D2 loot, but I think it was a good trade-off to be done with the achievement. Love listening to the show and look forward to the episode each week. I agree with this guy. I think that's a fine way to do it. We tried doing it with just like blasting down 0 Drake, which gave 100% of the people the achievement in 10-man. Did not work out the same way in 25-man. I think we got like 6 or 7 in 25-man that way, which was nice, but one of them clobbered the melee, which kind of hindered how much.
I think all the ranged got it.
Yeah, I think most of the ranged and healers have it. It's just the melee. And I think the only reason I got it on 10-man during our 3 Drake one is because a meteor hit the melee right when I did killing spree. So I was in the boss's butt, right, while they got hit, and then I popped back out. And so I got super lucky on the 10-man one.
Yeah, it is my. I still need to get the 25-man one, and I'm not really. I mean, I can't move. I don't want to move the boss around too much just randomly, but I do feel like I should randomly get it. I feel like I should just like RNG into it at some point because I stand by myself. So it's like maybe I'll just get it. But yeah, we'll probably do it a few more weeks on 3 Drake and then probably do some suiciding if people can't get it cleaned up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for your email. What an incredible email.
Yeah, that was great.
Kevin.
And and I don't even think we even mentioned it on the pod, but those are 2 really good strategies. And the one especially, I was talking to Classic Go last night, and like I don't think his raid even realized like that they could reset. They started at Resuvius, and then he did say that like they just didn't feel like it, but I caught a hint of like, oh,
you can reset.
Yeah. Resetting is kind of like it's kind of weird, but
it's a semi-cheat. But it's allowed, so do it.
It's just one boss, right? As long you can only do it on the first one, so it's like
depending on your raid and how good they are at listening to instructions like log out. It's just that just depends. Believe it or not,
real challenge.
Good guilds do have problems with this at times.
No.
Oh man! So should we talk about, since he talked about Immortal? Should we talk about that now?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the preparation, because we had there are only a few bosses in there that are a real concern.
Right.
For dying. Most bosses we almost never die on. The first one is Resuvius, which is we were just talking about. We chose to start Resuvius because the other major concern as far as first bosses is patchwork. Those are the only 2 first bosses that you can have deaths on. We have deaths on patchwork every week.
Because we 2-man it, right? Or 2-tank.
Prior to 2-tanking it, we 3-tanked it, and our 3rd tank died 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So we had never really done it without deaths. Maybe one time we did, and I'm just not thinking of the time. But patchwork was definitely a concern. But with patchwork, you have a little bit more control over whether people die or don't die. We can stack stamina on the tanks. That's pretty much it. And heal more. Have another healer. So we ended up 5 healing and 3 tanking. Normally we 4 heal and 2 tank, and then occasionally a melee will just go down. We didn't want that RNG. So we figured if we 5 healed and 3 tanked with a bear, absorbing all the hatefuls, we were probably going to be okay. So we started Resuvius. Mel, why don't you tell us how Resuvius went? What was your accomplishment?
So, oh my God, this boss stresses me out. And I was so glad that we were going to start with this boss, because I was talking to Kim and I was like, could you imagine if we had already gone 2 wings and then we get to this boss? Like, my heart would be beating so hard. And so we get there and we take control of the 2 guys, right? And I've like gotten better each week at this. And then this week, it just kept randomly dropping. Right. And I'm like, every time it drops, I just like see the guy like running towards me where I'm at. And I'm like, and I'm like fiddling, trying to like remind control the same guy and heal myself. And it was fine. We did it. We did not die. Nobody died. So I felt like it was a success.
It broke a lot of times though. And like,
it broke twice.
Yeah. And even though I knew we could just reset it, I was nervous as hell, I think, for you and just how you felt about other people's feelings about you, like doing it. You know what I mean? I was just like, God, I'm glad I'm not Mel right now.
I mean, the best thing Mel has going for her is that Kim is the other priest, and we all trust him even less. So. So.
I was gonna be like, Kim's the other priest, and I know he's gonna be able to get it if I knock it down.
It's just like I like it. It still makes me freaked out when everybody's counting on you. And it's something I'm working through and overcoming as a very new baby main tank. But everybody keeps telling me as the tank, dude, you're the tank, man. You just blame it on somebody else. And I was like, dude, I can't do that. Like, if I actually knew everything I was doing was correct, maybe I could do that. But no, like, it's just, you feel a lot of weight on your shoulders, and it's a good feeling and a rough feeling all at the same time, but it's much more rewarding. I will say that.
Yeah, it's definitely an ego trip getting to yell at everybody. No, it is. It definitely is pressure, but you get used to it. I've died to Flame Strike on KT and KT, not Kel'Thuzad, the other KT.
Yeah.
The other KT that's in TK, Kael'thas.
Yep.
That really should be Kaith, by the way. We should be Kaith. But yeah, so I've eaten some Flame Strikes there. You get kind of used to just like eating it in front of people and you move on.
Blaming the healers.
But when you have an achievement that requires people not to die, it definitely amps it up a little bit. So I'm very glad you can reset. I would think most guilds should do Resuvius first to give their priests a break. Because it is, but
much
honestly,
appreciated.
even with all the breaks, as long as we weren't sitting there ready to taunt like we had been previously and just let you repick that guy up, or make sure that you got like a lot of heals if it was coming back to you, it really wasn't a big deal at all. Like,
it really wasn't.
When they were beating on you, people just swapped heals straight to you, like you didn't die. So it was way less
barely lost any health ever. I was like, oh, this is what it could look like?
I was actually kind of annoyed. I was like, why have I been working so hard trying to get these guys on me when like they're not killing you this time?
Beat it on me forever and it was fine.
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah, I mean, it went really good.
Up next, the other scary one right after Resuvius is Gothic, because there's a ton of trash and we have people die on that every week.
I usually die on it every single week because tricks and fan like
Bob like tricks sappers and fans when the other gate opens. We do it where you're like, I'm sure everyone does it this way, but we're all on one side and then the gates open and everything pours through and we bop all the casters and then you just have Bob running into sapper, which is like fine. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not a parse fight that matters to anybody. Yep. You may as well. And because
except for on Undying.
I did not do it. I did not do it this time, but I did do something.
The most incredible part was just that all of our casters waited a little bit before aggroing everything.
Actually blow it up.
Weird.
I saw like the potential for the raid in my eyes. I was like, I knew you guys had it in you. You could have been doing this the whole time. But we had our bops out and then no one really pulled. And honestly, if you have Paladins Holy Wrathing, a lot of the stuff just gets stunned AoE as you come in. Just having the melee not run into the guys who Arcane Explode, I think, helps with damage a lot. So it was super clean. Bob did almost die, though. I was like,
is he going to let me go?
Bob had like one guy on him just beating on him. All right, I'm gonna come clean. I know what happened, and I know why that was. I didn't piece it together until after raid. Something was wrong during this Undying raid. I was like, or Immortal raid. I was like, something just isn't right here. All raid. And it wasn't until after when I went to switch some of my PvP hotkeys. Now, this probably isn't smart, but when I'm PvPing, I use the same keybind for Righteous Defense, which is the like AoE taunt kind of thing that paladins have. It taunts 3 things off somebody. I switch it to Flash Heal because I'm used to using it on people. So Bob was eating shit on Gothic, and I was trying to flash heal him instead of taunt. And I was trying to figure out, how could Bob have so much aggro that Righteous Defense didn't pull everything off him? And then later I was just trying to flash heal people all raid. I didn't
funny.
Righteous Defense a single thing.
Oh my god!
Raid. And I was like, all right, that makes sense. But the bright side is we only had 1 trash death, which was not based on taunting. So I really was like, I guess I'm just so sick. I don't need my taunt.
I didn't notice, and luckily, I had my thumb was closer to the vanish button in every single boss fight that it's ever been in my entire life. And so I pulled aggro. I took 2 hits, went down to a 3rd health, and was I vanished immediately. And Mel, 'cause I think I might have got parry hasted or something, but Mel immediately, she bubbled me right as I was vanishing. And so I was like, oh, I did have a little, I would have still lived if I would have, taken a split second longer. But it was cool that everybody was on it.
Those moments are kind of exciting for me, right? Because I'm usually just bubble, 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 bubble. And then somebody takes damage. I'm like, oh, bubble, real bubble. That one's gonna really help.
Yeah.
So I only just now pieced that together. I knew last night that I didn't have Righteous Defense. I'm only just now realizing that's why you almost died. Because I was like, what's going on? Did you, because you had to have had aggro on 4 things for Righteous Defense to not.
Yeah, to not work.
So that was fun. That was the closest death we had, which was right at the beginning and totally fine.
Listen, I'd rather it happen right at the beginning, though. If it was going to happen, I would have wanted it to happen on the second boss, right?
Yeah, and then we can just do
through and be
we can just do achievement for Horseman or something. I'd rather we bang out some achievements knowing that we died, but luckily no death there. The next hard boss is 4 Horsemen, which actually I don't think is that hard of a boss. I just never know. I just can't remember how we do 4 Horsemen because we did
we do it differently every time.
Yeah, I know. We started, the first times we started, we couldn't do it with the 3 horses on top of each other. So we started doing two horses, 2 front horses we burst down, and then we just kill the ones in the back. And that I feel is the safest way to do it. And that's how we did it last night, and it's very easy. But last week we did 3 horse with no deaths. So it's is that actually the safest once you can do it? I'm not quite sure.
Right.
But the 2 horses at the front was no problem at all. We just stick tanks everywhere and healers everywhere, and it's not a big deal. It does really make me think about how that's probably one of the most diminished fights from vanilla.
Oh yeah.
It was. Oh yeah. We used to stand outside of there and practice the rotation that we had to do. It's so wild how hard that boss fight was in vanilla.
And what's crazy is now you could actually now they you could have actually gotten enough tanks fairly easily with all the people that could switch to tank,
Yeah.
But it's I think the only problem with that fight, really, the dangerous part is just whether you do 3 in the back or which we've done before too, or if you do the 2 in the front, then the back. It's just that last boss. What is it?
Zeliek.
Is it
Zeliek?
Yeah, the back right.
The lightning guy.
So we just basically they told all melee to stand out, and so we just basically took a break, at that point and just slowly slower killed them, and it worked out fine.
It was hilarious seeing how many people were standing on the middle platform when usually every week it's 1, maybe 2 that got too high of stacks. This time it was 12.
Yeah,
people.
we usually are I want my purse.
what was funny with the timing of the death too, we had the melee run back to Blamau, and then the range go to Zeliek, and then once Blamau was dead, the range had too many stacks on Zeliek. So it was just like once we were just on Zeliek, it was literally like 30 seconds of people just waiting to drop stacks and no one damaging him. We were just waiting there sitting. We probably didn't have to. I really can't. It's hard for me to get a read of how much damage the Holy Bolt does. I've never seen melee die to it yet, though. I've only really seen it when we were like trying to kill them all at once and the ranged were like dying in the back. But I do wonder how much we could stack on there without dying, but of course there's no point when we're going for Immortal.
Yeah. Well, and Dinkle TV in chat's talking about the new kill Zeliek first, because there's no beam for 20 seconds, but that's a pretty new strategy and we just haven't tried it. So we definitely weren't going to try it for our run on Immortal, but I'm sure our raid lead Harsgard checks all these things out. I'm sure he's looked at it and he might be thinking about having us do it next time. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. That sounds cool though. I don't like I said, we do
anything that makes it go faster
every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do anything. Our next whatever is the highest parse will be what we end up doing because that will probably be like what we set our eyes on next is getting people parses that they want or speed running the whole thing, like something interesting like that. So we'll be using strats like that. We don't need to worry about not dying as much. So yeah, that was 4 horsemen. Then we go to patchwork. Oh, I totally lied. Bob dying was not our closest call. Patchwork once again. I think like I don't know how we do patchwork better than we're doing. Other than we have Mira, who is our bear tank, who is not a tank, who's just can become a bear because he's a druid. Have him like have a full tank spec and then like wear the polar gear with a ton of stam in it and just have like a ton of health and we 2 tank. It feels kind of wild with 2 paladins. Bab just like eats shit taking hatefuls. I don't know how else to put it, but he just does.
I think Mira took most of the hatefuls this week.
Yeah. He did, but there was one point where Fab like went down to like 5% health and Mira was low, and if another hateful had come out, I was like, here it comes. But luckily they were topped off, but that was the other close call. I'm sure there's like a better way to be doing things or something, but it just seems like the hatefuls come out a little too fast. Maybe like stacking avoidance more on the paladin would be helpful. I really don't know, but for not dying, patchwork was very scary. So we ended up 5 tanking and 3 healing. And it went okay. It went
3
fine.
tanking.
3 tanking
healing.
and 5 healing.
I was like 5 tanking.
Yeah, we 5 tanked. We 5 tanked and 10 healed. It was pretty wild, but we got it down right before
but we made it.
But yeah.
It seemed like a good idea for the 3 rogues to be hitting 3 different tanks because I don't normally hit the main tank because they're usually just like with tricks because they're usually just fine, right? But especially like the other tanks, like I'll basically just usually wait and see which one's the lowest and then I'll hit that one, but IDD set it up so we just all had our own tank, and then I just put it on Mira on cooldown, which I think helped out quite a bit because he was getting a little low at times under the warlocks, but I don't know if that matters at a certain point.
So the biggest thing is the health. That's like the only real concern that I think we have like in the middle of the fight. And if we were 2 tanking, melee, we're going to die. In that fight because
IDD dies every time we 2 tank.
Yeah, like it's almost a guarantee. At least like the way that we're doing things or the way that we're gearing for it. So luckily no deaths though. That was like a big relief, but for some reason I was like almost more scared on Grobulus. Grobulus, like people just get down to 20% sometimes on Grobulus.
Grobulus?
Yeah, the dude that like we drag around with poison, people will just like be 20%. Maybe there's no threat of death.
Yes. But, like, I don't understand that.
Sometimes he just does stuff and someone's like almost dead and I'm like,
Yeah, that one actually was very stressful healing, right? And usually, which nobody did it this week, but usually one of the people that can dispel is just like in autopilot and is like,
Always.
Okay.
dropping it.
You have
It always
to
blows my
appreciate the
mind.
fact that we're good at dispelling, though. You know what I mean?
You're just so
it's
fast
the
you can't even
only
stop.
fight you're not supposed to. It's just like it's muscle reflex. Like my frame changes color, and I've never done it, but I've almost done it.
I don't look, but it's got to be Stoof. That's my answer. It almost has
It
to
is.
be.
She's admitted it.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
great.
admitted it like once. I don't know that she's not the type to usually make mistakes over and over, though.
The only reason I say that is we got these like interesting spreadsheets last night, late at night, and I analyzed one of our raids, and it just like takes all the like stuff from Warcraft logs and boils it down into like, this is how many like cleanses someone did, this is how many potions someone used, and Steve has so many cleanses that it's just like gotta be muscle memory. Like,
Yeah.
you just can't help it. Like you see it and you're like, cleanse.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard when you're like my raid frames change color when somebody has something that I can remove, and it's
Yeah.
really hard to not to ignore that, right? You're like,
Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, it seemed totally fine last night. When everyone being just like a little bit careful adds up, I feel like a lot.
For sure.
Everything is a lot safer.
Some people being overly careful. I was telling you in pre-show, like I played like a Care Bear, like a lot of the times.
Well, to be honest, there's
Like,
lots of times where
there
I'm
was so-
healing and it's like, all right, Rogue, you did it.
Well,
You know, you're gonna die.
So,
Sucks
like-
to suck, but
so like there's so many different things where killing spree is a blessing and a curse all in one, right? Killing spree can be extremely dangerous. And, you know, I ride that flame a lot, but like, so like on Thaddeus, usually as soon as he pops, I'll tricks the tank, you know, deplete energy by, you know, just using 2 sinister strikes. Then I'll use killing spree right there because I can't use it at all during the actual fight when you have plus and negative because it gets me too close to the other side, right? So I use it right there. I didn't even use it right there. I didn't use killing spree on a few fights that I usually do just because it's, you know, it's not predictable enough to be happy with using it and putting everybody else's achievement on the line, right?
Anything to not die.
Yep.
That's the nobody wanted to be the first person to die.
we kept talking about it in healer chat too. We're like, I don't even really care about the achievement. I just don't want to be the one that dies and ruins it for everybody. Somebody's gonna flame.
I feel like it's typically not tanks or healers dying.
It's usually not.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost never.
I don't remember the last time like I was the first person to die in something, but I still felt a lot of pressure about potentially being the first person to die.
I kind of wonder what that is. I wonder if it's like healer habits getting better or not. Because like in TBC, you guys would go down all the time. Like healers are like the first to die in everything. And I wonder if you guys are just used
remember
to
the
healing
famous
now, or if it's like the way classes work.
Yeah, I died like 4 times on the same boss. I remember that. Yeah, that was great.
That was a parsing trick. You just wanted that 99, which is what everybody's doing on.
Clutch there.
That's what all the priests are doing on Lotheb now. Is they're using Angel to get the crazy 100 parses.
This is also why I just don't care about healer parses, because if that's what you're doing to get parses, like just make sure nobody dies.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, that's definitely a better way to look at it.
I did find out on Lotheb, though, I found this out a couple weeks ago, but that I could just shield everybody constantly, which still mitigated damage. It didn't give them the initial heal that shield gives, but it still mitigates damage the entire time. So I was like, okay, I'm sitting here like waiting for this little timer to run out, and I just be sitting here shielding. So that's all I do. That's literally all I do almost all the time.
Lotheb's another sad one where it's like, we had to have this dumb weak aura where everyone knew what order that they were healing in vanilla. Like, what a wild thing to have to coordinate between like 8 healers.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And somebody
insane.
always went out of turn.
Oh,
And it was like, seriously? Like, and then if you were like the next one on the list, but the one before you hadn't gone yet, you'd like be in this like panic mode of like, well, should I just heal? Like, or are they going to actually do a heal? Like, what's happening? And then you'd both heal at the same time and be like, oh, sorry.
What
That's
else
crazy.
is there? What else is hard before the last two? Gluth is super easy. Thaddeus is easy, honestly. Like, it can be annoying a little bit, but like the risk of death is pretty low on Thaddeus unless
If
someone is like
someone
messing around. Did you
misses the
mess something
jump.
up, Bob? I feel like but if you miss the jump, you just stand back and like don't come.
Yeah.
True.
And it should
No,
be fine.
Thaddeus, I was that was the one that I
10
just
man, he did.
in
He
10 man. Yeah, I made a short of it.
Maybe that's what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about something after, and I was like, I
okay,
don't know what happened.
did you see the
Yeah,
short where I'm like,
I've seen
who's
it.
killing us? And you see me like move back, and I'm like, I must be too close or something. And it was like, oh god, it's me.
Yeah, so I've seen the short where your add-on says "danger, danger," and you're like, "Who's doing this?"
yeah.
But
You are in danger, Bob.
Like in my defense on that one, I felt really bad. But in my defense, like I was off taking as a prot warrior in 10 man, aka wet noodle, that's not needed for most things. And so like we didn't talk about going for undying.
Yeah.
You know, we just hadn't died. And then when Stu said that was undying, my heart dropped. Like I was just like, oh no, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, it turns out undying is really not that hard when you're going for it.
When you're actually working on it.
Because like there's nothing that's like one-shotting you. Maybe patchwork is scary, but like every other mechanic, if you mess up, it's like, oops. If you take like you can have 8 marks on 4 horsemen and it won't one-shot you, and it's like, okay, like not that scary. 25 man though, a little less forgiving everywhere, and
you just have to worry about 24 other people instead of 9 other people not messing up, right?
Yeah, and then we didn't have any problems on Plague, right? I don't think so.
No, Plague is easy. Like Lothar for some reason always worries me a little bit, but it's never hard. But like I don't know what it is. Like just because like you can't heal all the time, and like maybe it seems like it should be hard.
See,
but Plague is super easy.
Yeah, I feel like you know, and I don't know this for sure, but I feel like I could almost take Lothar on 25 as the warrior, like without anything, because of shield block and like if you use all your cooldowns at the right time, I feel like you could just survive that without any heals. You know, like do your self heal, do a pot.
I take like no damage.
Yeah, I take hardly anything.
Damage. The only scary thing is the impending dooms once they start coming out and hitting everybody for like that damage. But we kill it so fast that I mean, even if we didn't kill it fast, I don't think it matters. But you guys only have to heal through a couple of them.
I think it's like 2 usually, and usually everybody has a shield on before it, so it doesn't even get them to half health, and it's like. And
then they can health stone one, so it's like, it's really not too bad. And then Spider Wing is of course easy. Like Maxna. Oh, we only had 1 web wrappings or web.
Oh yeah,
I know that was really good.
Maxna, which made it incredibly easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see somebody dying to Maxna, but I play a paladin and I'm allowed to die once without dying, so life's pretty easy. Not that I don't think
that is nice.
I didn't pop it once, or like I never like died to that once during it, but like it's a lot of leeway to be able to die and still be alive.
I just got my pally tank to 80, and I was like, "What is this Ardent Defender?" Like, it's your second life. And I was like, do I need it on my bars? Do I have to like push it if I want a second life? Like, no, it just happens.
Cheat,
I was
it's
like,
just cheat death.
It's so dumb.
It's so OP. Like I would have very few whoops moments throughout the start of my raid taking career if I just had that. Like
I know. It's really very forgiving. Coming from like tanking all of TVC, Paladin is like very cushy and enjoyable. But yeah, I mean after we finished Spider, I think we ended with Spider. Nope, we ended with Plague. But once we finished Plague, I was actually a little afraid of Saffron and KT.
Me too.
Saffron people stack up a little too early and get whacked by those frost blasts, which is a little bit spooky. We did run frost aura like cowards.
I also took a frost pot. Like I pre-potted a frost protection pot. Yep.
Come on.
That's wild. I would never suggest anybody do that.
I mean,
you're welcome to.
Like a pre-pot potion of speed, like especially if you don't pop it at the perfect time, you're only getting half of that.
Half of it. I waste half of it every time because I'm
and
like,
this is
now he's
2
coming
minutes.
up, and then
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is 2 minutes of time that I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Saffron ended up being fine. Like people just paid attention. They stayed spread. The nice thing about Saffron in this versus 40 man, which I keep bringing up, is that in 40 man, you could usually not get to an ice block if you ran once all the ice blocks were out. You needed to be shimmying over to it, or be a class that has an innate speed boost you can press. It was actually hard to get to them. In this though, in 25 man, all three can come down and then you can move and you can get there on time. So
no problem.
Yeah, stay spread and then you can get there and it's fine. So that went great. I was very happy with that. KT going in, I was so nervous.
Oh my God.
I was very nervous because people can die on that. There's just any fight with a one-shot mechanic that it was reliant on people paying attention is of course we're ending here. I was a little afraid. This happens almost every week. I'm zoning out and I'm like, oh, the A-bombs are coming. Dude, I just I don't forget, but I can't see the whole room. And I'm I might be hyper focused on one side. I'm like, oh, there's an A-bomb over there.
So just curious.
During that portion, can we talk about that? Because the healer, I'm just sitting there well, should I Shadow Word Death something? Or should I shield Yip? Because he might take a sliver of damage. What is so boring?
I do have a question for Yip because I make myself dizzy looking for the A-bomb. While I'm tanking, I'm just usually if there's a DK, I'm as the off take, I'm hey, do you mind just pulling him? Because I make myself so dizzy looking back and forth all over the room.
I really dislike it. I really wish we could zoom out enough to just have an aerial view or something.
Yeah, to see the top. You can't
back
though.
And forth. Yeah, you have to look back and forth. And Fab, again, our other Paladin off tank, was oh, we can each take half the room, but that just felt so pathetic to me that we would have to do that. I could not agree to it. Fine, I can pay attention and get an A-bomb, okay? It's just so long. And then more come out than I think every time. There's always one extra one that comes out with 5 seconds left on the timer. I'm all right, this is too much.
Do they increase the rate that they come out as it goes on? Because I feel it starts off and it's there's one
really
skeleton.
Slow.
There's one skeleton, and then at the end it's there's 5 skeletons, there's 2 A-bombs, and one little floating lady coming out.
They might. Did we pull extra A-bombs at any point? I don't.
We did on 10 man. Okay, not on this one though.
Okay, it was in 10 man. That makes sense. Because I was gonna say I remember last night that happening. That made me realize that people just don't normally care. Because normally we pull extras of something sometime.
Every time.
And this time it was very fine and simple. And then we did have one easy way of not dying. We for when KT came out, we asked our shamans and our DKs not to fire elemental and not to death and decay, so that the melee could visibly see if void zones were up.
That's a big deal.
I hate that that's a thing, but it really does make it easier to see when melee have void zones.
So I just recently talked to Sarth, because I've always turned my graphics all the way down and used pro settings for Overwatch or different first person shooters. It's just the smartest play. But so I asked Sarth because he had been talking about his graphics settings recently and how it makes it so much easier for him not to see everything going on. So he sent me those late last night while we were doing the run, and I'm gonna be switching to those. So I might post them in Guild if anybody else is interested, because it'll show as little as possible that you don't need to see, but it'll show all the stuff on the ground that you do need to see, that you need to get out of it and stuff. So
yeah, that can be useful.
yeah, it might be useful.
I went a long time not like I knew it was weird that I couldn't see my own consecrates, but like on Illidari Council, like I didn't know that because my graphics were low. I couldn't see the paladin guy's consecrate. So like I was always dragging him. I was like, I think it ends here for the melee. I don't know.
Dude, that happened to me one week because I was working up new characters, and before Wrath, the little quest items didn't glow and sparkle, right? So I would, anytime doing a quest where you have to find stuff on the ground, I would turn graphics to 1, which made everything just pop out like a sore thumb. And it actually would even load in before the zone would load in. So like you could find those things super easy. I forgot one time we were doing council and my GTFO is going off crazy. I'm like, I'm not standing in anything. And then I was like, I looked at my thing. I was like, oh, I see what I did there.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Come on.
I'm getting something from the studio. Mira is telling me that they did Death and Decay still. And it was, I guess, just fire elementals we didn't use. It's good. Honestly, the biggest tip that we have is just calling every time there's a void zone. If it's a ranged, you can yell the person's name. And if it's melee, my preference, and I think mainly it comes from Overwatch calming, I think, is just screaming, melee, 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 melee.
You guys, this happened so many times, and I feel like the Death and Decay went on melee 90% of the time during this fight. But I'm like sitting in range, and all of a sudden you hear this, melee, melee, and like everybody's already out. Like,
listen. I just can't trust these people.
Hey man,
I've seen them die too much.
Dude, I was like happy for every yell out. Like mine even says, watch your feet. And I look, but like it was hilarious because whenever somebody would call something out, I'd start to twitch. Like I'd start moving before I'd look to see if one was there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Listen, it's smart. I think honestly a big problem with like add-ons for it is that it doesn't specify if you're in it or not. It just tells you that it's coming out. So it is like easy to be like, whatever, like I'm not paying
it's
attention.
Come out 6 times and I haven't had to move, and then it comes out and you're like, oh.
It's honestly kind of lucky that it went on one melee group, Bob's melee group, like a lot.
Same thing on my undying run, and Fab of course pours out, Bob's getting tested again. I'm like, damn it.
But
don't fuck it up.
It all worked out. The only other scary thing are MCs, which were scary. We had melee mind controls, and normally we blow people up, and we almost blew people up, but we were able to restrain ourselves enough. We were able to get a couple cyclones out, and I think we feared a couple of them.
Yeah.
But the MCs are a very big concern when it comes to dying. And then lastly, just the other tank getting like the frozen tomb or whatever. If that happens tanking, that can be a nightmare. Did it happen last night?
Did it, or did it happen in our 10-man?
I think it might have happened in the 10-man, probably. I don't think it happened last night. I was looking at Fab's health, and it looked pretty strong the whole time. We looked very healthy. So that was nice to see. And then we get Immortal, and everyone yells.
Yeah.
Immortal is probably...
Hold on. What is the... do you guys get the sound clip when it says, like, healers, unite or something? It says something when the frost tombs go.
I definitely
don't hear that.
Healers unite.
It's something, or like healers focus or something. Like it's like something really crazy.
Concentrate, Willow. Concentrate.
And every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, okay, what? What is it?
They do say new things. What is it in DBM? Like some British lady will just be like, interrupt that. It's like, oh, what? Okay.
She goes, interrupt. Interrupt.
Okay.
I don't get that.
I get that. Yeah, I love it. I'm like, ooh, and I just hit interrupt. And what sucks is that like
Danger.
At least half of the melee in our guild is just a split second faster than me. So I always end up like I look down and I'm kicking like as someone has just interrupted. I'm like, God damn it.
My problem, I'm about to like complain as a hero class prop paladin, but I love the prop paladin rotation. It is like meditative. You hit a 6-second cooldown, you hit a 9-second cooldown. You hit a 6-second cooldown, you hit a 9-second cooldown, and you're just like
just gotten into this rhythm, and it's like really nice.
It's like, then if I want to interrupt something with Hammer of Justice, which I can, that's on the GCD. So I have to stop my awesome rotation to do that. Or on Heigen, when I'm asked to cleanse somebody, I'm over here like, 6-9, 6-9. Like I'm hitting all my buttons great. And it's like, oh, you guys should cleanse. It's like, that's not.
No.
then I'll have 2 abilities off a cooldown at once, and I'll have to figure out which one I hit. It's doing all that extra stuff. I just want to.
We were questing last night. We were doing something where we had to kill like. It was either 80 or 81 elites in
Ice Crown.
Yeah, Ice Crown. And I'm on my priest and Mel's on her prop pally. And I was so impressed because I pulled like 6 of these things, right? I was like, we can do this easy. And we could have if I would have lived. But I pulled them and then got stunned and then couldn't get back to her in time and died.
No. He said, Mel, stay here. I'm going to pull these. And I said, okay. And then he goes, Mel, what are you doing over there? And I'm like, what am I doing over here? I'm staying here. You said stay here. I'm going to pull these. And he's like, oh my God.
Well,
so he dies.
The moral of the story is I die and I'm like, she's fucked. And then she gets down to like 5% health and no mana. And there's still 6 of them up and they're like half life. She proceeds to somehow, with Pally magic, whatever the fuck that is, goes back up to full life, back up to full mana, and completes the freaking kill. I mean, it took a good amount of time, but like I was so impressed with just the power of Pally taking there.
Prop Pallies are actually insane. I don't.
He goes, I'm so impressed, Mel. And I was like, you shouldn't be. I did so much wrong. I was like panicking and I was like, oh yeah, I lay on hands. Oh yeah, I need to do this. And like, I was like not effectively managing my cooldowns. But
well, shout out to Shaka Zulu, because Shaka Zulu and Classic Go were both in chat with us, just kind of chatting. And they were kind of coaching her a little bit, but it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, Pally's the best thing about Pally is that they have Seal of Light and Judgment of Light that are on chance percentage of your health gains. So as you gain more gear and you like stack stamina, you can heal yourself so much. It's like unreasonable how much you can end up healing yourself.
Well, and then the mana thing,
old content, and then
the divine or whatever it is,
divine plea.
Yeah, it just just gives.
Yeah, we have 2 really good things. Our Blessing of Sanctuary, whenever we avoid something or block, we end up getting mana back. And then Divine Plea is just infinitely regenerating our mana.
Right,
so,
constant.
So it's really good for older content, especially because the more things that are beating on you, the more you're just gonna have infinite mana because of Sanctuary. And then you can just heal a ton with all of your stuff. So it's super nice. And then you have Sacred Shield too. Do you use Sacred Shield on yourself?
I just got Sacred Shield.
I always forget. I always
forget in my rotation.
I always forget Frenzied Regeneration with the Warrior, the heal over time thing. I always forget that. So I had
just hit 80. So I trained all my 80 spells and then I redid my keybinds, right? And so that's why when we had all these 80 elites on me, I was like, oh shit, that used to be this keybind. And like my muscle memory was there, but it wasn't the same keybinds. And I'm like pushing like Divine Shield instead of like my judgment. And I'm like, what is happening?
When I go in panic mode, I start clicking. I got no problem.
Yeah, I'm hitting
the right ability.
I do the same thing. And there's still some things that I click. Like if you're gonna use it every once in a while, like I'll just click it. Like,
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean main abilities. My standout is in vanilla on Patchwork. I used to I used to use my hotkeys for my rotation, but then I would put my mouse over shield block and then just click infinitely so I never dropped shield block
God.
when it would come up. And that way, because it's off GCD, so I would just hit my normal rotation, but instead of using a hotkey, I was like, no, this is gonna be up 100% of the time.
well, like, okay, for
You got that
instance,
too.
I've got Shield Wall hotkeyed for him, sure, because that's the one that Harskar will sometimes call me to use, right? But Last Stand, I just have like just on my bar, and I just click it if I need to use it. But like, there's something like this, like something about the warrior tanks that people didn't take into account is that because all of your CDs reset, like after every boss fight, like you have so many uses of all of your cooldowns, and like Harskar just does it. Like I almost like when I tank for him, like I almost never use shield wall, and I could be using that every fight easy as pie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
what I keep calling. It's hard to call it every time, but that's what I keep saying at the end of fights for like paladins who have a bunch of AoE defensive cooldowns they can use on the raid. It's like, I mean, just start using them. Like, I don't know, like,
yeah, like why not?
At 20%, if the boss is at 20%, like pop a raid wide CD. Like, there's no reason not to.
I feel like that's overwhelming about the paladins, how many different like crazy random spells that they have, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna get used to these basic spells, and then I can start adding in these other things.
The big one that I have to start adding into mine is Spell Reflect. Like I need to remember to use that as much as possible. Then also AoE Taunt, like that gets reset every boss too. Like, and I could use that on any trash pull that I kind of screw up a bit, right? Like there's just so many cooldowns that you just have to remember now that you could use your cooldowns because that shit resets. Like, and that's something I think a lot of people kind of hold on to it, kind of like you hold on to guns, you know, in Fallout. You're like, I'll use it sometime, and then you've got this gun at the end of the game you never used because, you know.
Yeah, well, a lot of this is Naxx related. Come like Ulduar and on, using these cooldowns is like required on like every boss. Like you just need to know what abilities. Like some bosses are just built. I didn't raid past Naxx much. So I don't know if it's like more of an ICC thing or not, but like I know for a fact there are a lot of bosses that just like you have to have
Ulduar
cooldowns or you will die. Like it's just built in to do too much damage.
Ulduar is a hard change from Naxx, and it's going to be a really good time. And I do think that like the stuff resetting and just being able to use your cooldowns right after a boss fight, and then you have a backup by the time you get to the boss, like it just like helps you go quicker. And it's definitely, it'll be a little weird. I don't know how to, like, if we were just getting the pre-nerfs, I would say, holy shit, this is going to be really hard, guys. Like, or if we were just getting the, you know, pre-nerfed bosses, but like with the item level, I just don't know how that's going to actually play in. But then like if we were just getting the item level and the like post nerf bosses, we would destroy it. I'm pretty sure. I think it's going to be tough for the first few weeks.
I hope so.
I mean, I kind of hope so too. I think that our guild is like the strongest it's ever been by far. So it'll be interesting to see what a challenge looks like. Because right now it's just so easy. Like we're already doing as well as I was like hoping we would do. I was like, oh, we should strive to hit progress like top 100 or like speed top 100, and it's like just our natural progress and speed is like around 120 for the server. So it's like, all right, we can do better than this. It's time to readjust our goals, because we're definitely things are strong right now. But yeah, we're immortal. We are immortals. Woo-hoo. I still need that volcano achievement.
Same.
But we do have a few people who got their proto Drake, which is exciting. And then I think what? That's not fair.
She did, yeah. She got it, and like I was standing in the picture or whatever on my 10-man proto Drake, and I was like, Okay, yeah, the 25 man does look cooler. And then chat was like, I like the colors of the other one. There was a bunch of people in my chat. I was like,
you're just trying to make him feel
you're
better.
just trying to make me feel better. I like the 25 man Drake. Like that fiery mouth is so good.
I feel like I'm okay with any of them. The 310 is nice.
310 is so nice.
Man
is
pretty nice. I would. It would be nice if, like, once you have a 310 mount, all of your mounts go 310. That would be like, that's how it works. Like, come Mop, maybe.
Did they change it to Kata? I thought they maybe changed it to Kata.
Yeah, it's Kata or Mop. You can just buy the 310, which is like ridiculous because it's like 10,000 gold to go. It's not 30% faster, obviously, because it's it's like what, like 8% faster or something, because you're technically moving. At 280, you're actually moving 390% total speed, and you're gaining 30% on top of that, which is like not very much.
I had this conversation with Herb.
Yeah.
Like, we were trying to figure out like how the pally buff stacked and everything else, and I was like, it just made our brains hurt. Like by the end of the conversation.
You're like, what does an additional 30% mean when you already are going 280?
Well, I just found out that, Bob frequently puts me on follow when we're leveling. And it was really annoying when I got to the talents in the Paladin tree that made me faster.
Oh, yeah. Pursuit of Justice.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can just put on Crusader Aura. And then he would be just as fast. So I was like flying and then stopping and waiting for him to catch up and then flying and stopping. I'd be like, this is so annoying. I'd rather just wait.
She's like, is there an add-on that will just turn this on and turn whatever aura I had on before when I get off my mount? Like, she wants to, I'm sure they're like,
gotta be macro.
What sucks is Item Rec does it like when I had the fly speed thing, which I don't think there is one in Wrath. The riding crop in TBC, I set up Item Rack to switch it when I got on my mount and switch it off when I got off. And also another tip for people who don't, if you're using the in-game Blizzard one, let me just tell you, go back to Item Rack, because once you start racking up trinkets and they're on use ones, you can do what I did towards the end of TBC on my warrior, and you can set up trinket rotations in Item Rack. So you're literally using trinkets every trash fight. Like, it's super OP. Like, that's why my trinket usage was like way over anybody who was ever in our raids, and it just did it auto for me. Like, yeah, you might not have the trinket you want up for a boss, but you know what? Like, the whole raid seems to matter the most now, guys.
Yeah, get over it. Especially in Naxx.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we're freaking immortals. We're achievement heroes. It was all a lot easier than I thought it would be. That's my answer.
I know.
Like, we did Immortal, and while, I was stoked. Like, it's been a minute. I'm glad that achievements are in the game, because like it makes everything way more interesting. Like, we would never be like, hey, let's not die in Naxx.
Right.
It does make it so much more interesting, right?
Yeah. It's like something to do and like see if you're good or not. And the parsing is parsing is cool, but it is what it is. Like, oh wow, we all parsed good again this week. Like,
great job.
Like, what does it mean? Yeah, there's nothing that you're like trying to strive for, which is why I think we'll probably do some like speed stuff as well too coming up, just because like keep things interesting and fun. And loot is becoming less of an issue. It goes out fast.
The 10-mans
grades
are just like a it's like a shard fest. I think I did a 10-man before I did the Undying with you. We did our Undying, and I was the Disenchanter, and I was just like, it's literally everything coming to me. Is it just every item?
You make it's like 5k gold of shards out of every 10-man or something. Like, it's pretty wild how many things get sharded in there. But
that was something I wanted to bring up earlier, but Mel told me to hold on, and it just didn't make sense to bring it up later on in the convo. But since you just mentioned the two Undying runs, Mel's run on 2 of them right now. I feel like Dis Priest is BIS. Like, Dis Priest Pally really is BIS for 10-man Undying, because like just having everybody with a shield on almost at all times is just a huge like, oh shit that gives you an extra second to taunt something, you know, or anything else.
It's really strong. Shields are very good.
They make my life very boring.
4 horsemen, for instance, like I would be a little more afraid to like 3-stack 4 horsemen without dying, but like because everyone will just have a shield, like you can go up to so many marks because you can just reapply the shield in between marks. So there's a lot of things that are super OP. I think I think Pallies are obviously really good, but I think Disc Priest is like the MVP of like it's very noticeable when you don't have a Disc Priest.
Really?
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't know.
Like, I think any 25-man 2 healing is going to be running a Paladin Priest if they're only 2 healing type of deal.
Paladins are just insanely their output is just
I mean they are OP as hell, but like the Priest has definitely just got a really strong kit.
Well, right? Because Paladins can really like spam some good heals, and Priests can mitigate a lot of damage, and so you get like kind of the best of both.
Well, and
you get a nice balance.
Yeah, Pallies have, you know, and the Priest has the stamina buff too, which is huge for undying also, right?
Yeah, we do.
Somebody brought up a good point. Why don't we have our DPS take off fort during patchwork?
I mean,
my chat told me to do that, and I forgot to do that. Actually,
I don't know. I don't personally think it makes a difference. Like when you run through the course,
a lot of stamina.
When you run through the course of the math, it doesn't matter. Because if a melee was going to get one shot and killed, then that means the paladin has less, or the tank has less health than that person already had. So they would probably die in that scenario anyway. The only advantage is the avoidance that the tank brings in. So if you're running like a full avoidance set, I think it's probably good to have people dip and like take off their stamina and stuff. But for the most part, like if a melee is gonna die, then like the tank's gonna die. It's a problem. Right. It's like a symptom that you need to solve.
Well, and the tank's probably not at 90% health, and it's going to somebody else. The tank's at like
the tank will be at like 30% health,
and that's why it's going to somebody else. Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense.
That's something I'm starting to like look into too on tank. Is like I've been full avoidance the entire time, right? Like, but now I'm like, I bought a greatness deck. You know, like
don't get me started. You guys are gonna be in for a shock when you see me on Tuesday. I'm gonna be way different.
You're gonna go the Scotty J way.
Oh, I'm going full parse head come Tuesday. Now that we are immortal,
I'm still not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for that yet. I want to keep my job with Harskar as the main tank. So I'm going to wait till I'm a little better.
Waiting. I've been a good boy through Immortal. That was like because like there's really no point after that. Like you're not gonna run one less main tank. Like my job's not because there is like
jeopardy here.
There is something to be said about like dropping a healer or something where it's like, okay, well, like if you want to do more damage and go faster, maybe you drop a healer, but it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna die in any gear. Like Naxx is very easy. If I have 25-man gear, I don't need to like stack stam right now. I will in Ulduar, but I want to put berserking on my weapon like all the other cool paladins. I wanna get rid of my stamina, like enchant and go for attack power crit like a freak. I just want to do what they're doing and then see what's up. But I mean, I'm also like, it's tough. It's hard to. I liked Warrior and TBC because they were like underdogs, so I worked really hard to be good at it. But on Paladin, it's like so hard to be like, oh, like let's get my CPM better on Shield of Righteousness this week because it's just so easy. Like threat isn't an issue at all. Like I can really like chill out, play one-handed, just like hang out. I could probably just play with a mouse if I wanted. Like
I'm so glad that I went into melee as a prot Paladin because I was just like, oh, this is actually. I actually think this might be slightly easier than my priest because I have like a rotation. Like the priest is all like, you know, like, well, right now it's very easy, but you know, there's a lot of reaction to things, right? That you have to do. And if Prot Valley, I'm like, hey, there's some reaction, but usually it's just kind of typing your buttons.
I hate to say you can taunt 4 things every 8 seconds. So it's like you really don't have to do anything.
And the beautiful part is if you want to have a second spec as a DPS spec, you could literally set up a 1-button macro for your rotation as a ret pally.
Oh God, I think it's worse, but you can do it.
I've heard it's like if you're going up against the 90 percentile, like it's pretty damn good. Like
dang,
yeah, like it's pretty damn accurate.
Able to put out damages, right? Is that what's going on?
I have no idea. He claims that he doesn't use it.
Yeah,
I
can't believe anything Fab says. Come on.
No, I can see him definitely not setting that up. Just whacking his buttons.
Oh man, yeah. Well, it's been freaking really cool, and yeah. But we talked a lot about Immortal, but I was kind of just wanting to get like your thoughts on Wrath, like how it's played out, you know, like since launch and everything. Just like, you know, kind of pick what you want to, you know, kind of focus on. Like I put some examples in there, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just start with leveling. I hate leveling, and I hated leveling in Wrath, but
Really?
and I hate to admit it. I hate to throw this out there. Rested XP changed all.
Code reloaded.
I really, as much as I hate to say it, I would love to be like anti it, but it's just being able to quest and shut your brain off is like so huge to me.
Crucial.
Like, cause I get super amped about being max level and doing endgame stuff that like I really do find leveling to be a bummer. Like I'll just sit there calculating how many more hours I have to play until I'm like the level I need to be, and it's like just a bummer the whole time. So Rested XP was really nice finishing that out. But
dude, I think that's the only reason I like to like level now. Like it's because of Rested XP, and like if I don't have it, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, you can't go back. That's the biggest problem, right? Is like once you use it, there's no like, oh, I'm just gonna level without it. It's like, wait, what? What are we doing? Like, how do I know where to go?
It's definitely one thing that I think retail WoW does really well is that like the leveling experience is basically like the single player campaign, and then you're max level and you get to do the end game stuff. But like, it's so not. You just happen to level while you're playing through a single player campaign. You're like a hero, and like you're learning the story as you go, and then you're learning like the end game systems as you go. You're like, oh, this is one faction. This is how the systems work in these quests. Right. Because it's retail, so they're all very overly complicated and confusing. So they need to hold your hand through them.
Well,
but
Rested
like,
XP now has.
Leveling.
Oh, sorry.
No, what, they have a retail one?
Yep, yeah. They just launched their retail guides for Dragonflight.
Nice. I try it out, but like I said, I think retail is very simple and easy. But like, you don't know where to go in like Wrath. It's like, do I want to go to Borean Tundra? Should I go to like Howling Fjord? What quest do I have left to do? Like, which ones are in which area? It's and
you always waste so much time going like back and forth because you're like, okay, I gotta go turn in this quest on the other side of the continent.
Yep, and even after you're done, because like we just got done with our guys that had like all the heirlooms, Rested XP has an option to turn on lore master mode. So you can just go to a zone
do everything,
and it just does everything in the best route for it instead of like the fastest leveling route for it.
Yeah, that's really cool. But the reason I'm really bringing that up is because I really like everything else about Wrath, but I just cannot. Even with Rested XP, I'm like struggling to level a second character. Like I just cannot get into it for some reason. Did I even hit 71 on my druid? I don't even know if I did. Maybe I did.
Did you get them the heirloom
druid
here?
Dude, you should work up your warrior.
My warrior. Okay, well, it's on the same
it's
account.
only fun to be tank at the moment, but like.
Well, I do want a second tank, but in my head it'd be nice if it was on my second account, which is where my druid is. Just so I can like.
Oh, your warrior's on your first account. Okay.
Yeah, my warrior's on my paladin's account. The other thing about that, I started leveling the warrior, but then part of me was like, well, if I'm a druid, I can also sometimes be a boomkin.
Which is great. Like,
yeah, like that is an incredible thing to be and what I want to be. But I'm just stuck. Like I don't have a ton of I haven't had a ton of time to play. So it's just like, dude, man, like leveling another character just feels like a bummer. I would love to be like spamming heroics on a new character, getting them through that gear level, because like everything is so nice. Like everything's quick. You can do everything in a day. Like yesterday, I was like, you know what? I think I want to be a holy paladin in PvP instead of a ret paladin. And now I have 5 of 5 hateful. I've got almost all of my off pieces just from doing Wintergraph, and now it's AV weekend. So like you just get all the gear immediately that you need. You're not like, oh, I want to start doing arena and it's TBC. Well, in 3 months I'll have a piece of gear, a piece of resilience gear, and all my it's literally like every week you got a piece of gear in TBC, and eventually you'll be ready to go join people
for
in
the
the
next
arena.
season.
Yeah, but it's been really quick, like just getting online with characters, especially with getting Valor in 10-man and in 25-man. Like you end up with a lot every week, which I'm a big fan of. Like I understand now. I didn't understand back then because I was like a casual child back then. I was like, why does everyone give us hate for the badge gear? Like, I like badge gear. Like, I get why it is like easy mode, but it just allows you to enjoy the gameplay a lot more. I'd rather people who join the expansion late not be like severely hindering the guild. They're gonna be geared. They can get geared up in 10-man, or they can just casually do heroics and get some like gear, and they're pretty much ready to go. And then in one night of 25-man, there's so much gear and so many side grades that they're just ready to go immediately. Like Riley, who was Terry in TPC,
and Bubblehearth,
who was Bubblehearth in Vanilla. Good friend of mine has been doing schoolwork and like unable to play much, and is like the same eye level as the rest of us. And it's like, okay, nice. Like still easy to keep up and like be able to participate in the guild, as opposed to it being like, oh, you're like, if you're more social, then you're like way behind and people have to carry you. It feels like everyone can participate in the gameplay. And it's a lot of fun. So that's like my gist. I think a lot of the things that they added, like cooldowns in like going off cooldown between bosses, being able to hero on everything, Valor dropping a lot of places. I think once Ulduar comes out, 25-man, am I crazy? 25-man gear is going to drop in 10-man.
Yes.
All that stuff is awesome. Like, I love all this easy, like, we are all, like, I feel like everyone is mostly busy. If you're not busy, you can just play alts, which is awesome.
Yeah, you'd be like me and have 3 80s, right? And 2 of them, like, 4,200 gear score. You know? Exactly,
yeah. You're ready to go. And I think that's really cool. Everything that they've changed in Wrath has been, I think, really good for the people playing a lot. And it just makes it a lot easier to, like, stay involved. So I've been having a lot of fun. I'm a little sad how much I've dropped off heroics. That the heroic grind was like shorter than I was expecting it to be. Maybe that's part of us. Maybe that's like a symptom of us gearing up so quickly. Like I only had to do like 3 world tours to be done heroics. I feel like, and I did more because I'm tanking. I'm like, oh, I'll do more, but I was like, I really don't need them anymore already. And they were like already easy in like the greens you go in with.
Well, and I think the result was going into Naxx and realizing that you didn't even really need all the previous gear to be pretty effective in Naxx. And it was like, oh, okay.
They should become fairly relevant though. Again, each tier, because they'll be dropping whatever the lower badge is for that tier, and you'll be able to buy the tier gear from before. So anybody changing classes, like, it's gonna make things a lot easier for people wanting to swap and different things of that nature. Like they could do it on their own rather than they could do a lot of it on their own rather than have to take like the whole guild to do it. It's a super
flexible expansion, which I think I've really enjoyed with the amount of time that I've had. I just wish I had, you know what? Come on, Blizzard, just let me pay for an 80. You let me have cold weather flying. Just give me like cold weather leveling. I'll pay 10,000. No, I'll pay $100. You make me level 80, and we're good to go. No one will know. Literally, no one would know.
Just let Yip do it. Don't tell anybody else.
Yeah, email me personally about it. I will PayPal you $100 and make me 80. And make me 80 on my horde too. That's the other thing is
you have a horde.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you used your boost on?
Yeah, so I used a boost.
I thought about doing that.
On a Hordy because we've got some plans.
You're in the mud huts?
Too much. I don't want Kim to get mad with me spoiling too much about some of our plans, but the plan is to have like a solid group of level 80s so that we can extract revenge on any alliance that might do us wrong.
Oh my god!
So that is the goal there. But again, gotta level them, which is just a pain, and leveling them seems like it could be a nightmare in the open world on Benediction. It
might be, luck. Or it might just be like, I mean, every time I see a horde now, I'm like, it's a leprechaun. It's a leprechaun.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't killed
hey,
a horde.
brother.
I haven't
attacked one. Yeah, I've let him be. I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything.
Yes,
to this
guys,
person.
but now you know what their plan is. So if you see them, kill them.
This sounds like if you guys make it there, this sounds like it could be a bad stream night for me one night.
No, we're not.
Why is this 5-man group hunting me down?
Yeah, we need to have rules against that because we totally. I that would be fun. That would be really funny to watch you stream and just like.
It would actually that would be good. I'm not gonna lie, it'd be good content.
As long as he's not with me. Or
I
you
definitely
can kill him
did
and not me.
pick. I don't know about everyone else, but my name is unrecognizable. Like you would not know that it's me. That is the.
Now every time Bob gets ganked by a random horde group, he's gonna be like, "Yep,
yep, Kim, god damn it."
All right, so let's see what else is there to talk about here. BGs are a ton of fun. Everyone's got wild and wacky abilities, and they're pushing each other around and just like murdering people. I'm in there now with my Ret Paladin. I've been doing AV, and I'm used to doing Arena on my Ret, which is not been like super hard, but it's been like, oh my god, like it's hard. We lose a lot. Well, there's like DKs.
Do you know why though?
Stuff. Why?
Well, it's in the news, the news section, but basically. Like Arena's down.
Losing a lot?
Oh yeah.
Like so you're playing some like people that are high rated.
Yeah, I saw something about it being like some crazy thing like 1,500 was like the top 5% of players or something. Like there's some issue with like how high people were getting.
From what I heard, there's only 29,000 people that like have been queuing for Arena in all of Wrath Classic, which is crazy when you think about, we're pushing up towards 600K people rating,
Yeah, I mean, I think it could just be me. It's everyone has so much stuff going on. So the reason I like BGs right now, everyone's just doing all this wacky stuff, and I can get in there and just like absolutely destroy people. Wintergrasp is a lot of fun. I haven't really experimented with it once too much. I've been in there like one time with high tenacity, but I know like Butters and LZ and the crew will go in there like at the last minute possible in order to get super high tenacity, and they just like murder people all game and just get a ton of kills. That sounds really cool. Yeah, that sounds really fun.
LZ is so good. Like I am just in awe of that guy. Like I'm a fan.
Like, all that's fun, but once you carry it into Arena, and I am now reminded why Arena was when Wrath was when I stopped being able to like play Arena as much, because I used to get so mad. Like I would start raging starting in Wrath, and I understand why. Everyone's got too many wacky abilities, man. Like I'm in Blade's Edge, and half the classes can push me off the top. It's like crazy.
Would you believe? I haven't played one BG besides Wintergrasp to get my All Hallows End achievement. Not one BG on either character.
That's wild.
Coming from me, who coordinated groups, but like I've been learning how to tank. I've been relearning Combat Rogue, and I just don't feel comfortable enough with either of them yet to like branch out into learning something new, right? And also,
I mean, it's a lot. You got to learn. You have to relearn all the other classes. I think that's like the barrier. Is like, in order to be effective at Arena, you need to know how to counter the classes that you're playing against. And everyone has new abilities. Everyone works a little bit differently, and you're working against what you have in your head. You're like, yes, warrior druid. This is what I should be doing. And then like the druid suddenly a boomkin star following you, and you're like, this isn't how it went down in TBC. Oh no.
Yeah, and then like also I kind of remembered why, because I didn't PvP much back in Wrath either. Like after I had PvP'd a ton, and that's all I did in TBC. I didn't PvP in Wrath much at all, and I'm kind of remembering why. And one of them is that, you know, it's just like so many new wacky things. But the other is just how like unintuitive the gearing path is, and how you have to have like a special ranking for all the best pieces. And like, it's, you know, I'm sure some people say it's fine, it's easy, but for me, it's hard to wrap my brain around it. I'm like, wait, do I spend this and waste this?
Yeah, you gotta settle like I have. In order to enjoy PvP, I've just been like, I'm just gonna spend all my stuff on hateful. Like this holy stuff, I was like, whatever. Like it doesn't make a difference. I don't know how to play holy paladin. The difference between my 200 eye level gear and 213 eye level gear is like a smaller difference
huge.
than me learning how to play the holy paladin. So I'd rather just get online sooner than later. But you're right. There is like this. It's like, am I wasting arena points here? Like I can't actually buy the deadly gear yet, or like there's only this piece of the deadly gear I can buy because of my arena rating. So should I spend on that, or do I want to get double the honor and then also need arena rating to get the off pieces? Like for, I think boot and belt needs like arena rating in order to get them from the honor pieces. So there definitely is a lot going on. It's a little intimidating. And then there's also like, three tiers of gear already. You have savage, hateful, and deadly.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, what drops from the, you know, from the PvP boss and Wintergrass, and then what I
have both.
What do
of
I
the
need for this
and Wintergrass, and haven't used them.
Yeah, well,
I mean, think I've turned them in.
Honestly, like
you don't turn them in, you just get them.
Yeah, like most people, I think, like if they're doing it smart, from what Rugg says, you bring just one of every spec. You bring a like, and then for sure, like anybody, like you for sure are getting the piece that you drop. Like we do it different as a guild, but like that's I think what a lot of pugs are doing at the moment is just like you literally bring one prop warrior, one DPS warrior, one rogue, one caster shabby. You know, I guess you bring you bring, you know, like three of those, but like you're just basically like bringing each person that has a chance at gear, and then like that's the best way to do it. But it's
definitely better to plug it. Yeah,
and you could buy gear with freaking badges too. Like everything is so confusing.
That's how I got my holy hateful, or why I was like, it's confusing, but it's also cool because I was able to. I have a full set of rec gear that I just got that I finished like a week ago, and now I don't feel like I've wasted my like time or life. I can almost immediately, like tomorrow, I'll have a full holy set of gear. Whereas in TBC, that would have been like, oh, I wish I had done so. Yeah, like I wish I had done something different. This is a nightmare, but it's not as bad of a nightmare right now. And I figure like whatever, next patch I can get caught up on the current gear.
I guess
it's
maybe
not too big of a deal.
I guess maybe I wish that every place that say hateful, every place that gear was available, like every vendor, I wish you could spend all currencies that you could do on there instead of having to look up a big
like
spreadsheet and be like, I could get this from Wintergrasp or here. You know what I mean? Like it'd be cool to just
funny,
see.
Like I go to the vendors a lot. I'm like, okay, am I gonna get this with my Valor? I'm gonna get then I have to run down to the sewers and be like, all right, I can get this with my arena planes. It definitely is
run down to the sewers. I feel like the sewers make me feel like Horde.
Yeah, we're all
hanging
out down there. It's like
true.
Stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've arena has been good. It has been fun. There are times where it's like slightly frustrating, but it's not that bad. I played Preg Paladin, which is it's like you're Ret, but you use like a healing weapon and a shield. So you shield of righteousness people for damage, and like paladins have a lot of non-weapon damage stuff like judgment. So basically what you're doing is like you're optimizing defensiveness. You get a lot of the damage that Ret still has, and then what Ret has that you get with Preg as well too is something called Art of War, probably. I think it's Art of War. And it's like a proc every time you crit. You can get a free flash heal. You just get an instant flash heal that you can put on somebody.
Which is what Rhett should be doing in raids too. Like you should be doing it.
Good luck.
I mean, well, they just they could literally do it without losing DPS. It was something.
Yeah, there are times where you're not you're not a GCD locked.
It's a free flash of light, right?
Yeah, but it is a GCD, so you would you hit all your DPS spells and then you do it. But in PvP, you can do it a lot, and you're tanky. So I just get in there and you bash people, and you're just whacking them, and then you crit and you heal, and you have a lot of survivability, and you can heal a lot, and it's fun. And I probably don't have a good grasp on it, but it was very fun. But I did switch back. I did switch back to Rhett once I got a good 2-hand weapon, and that has been a little easier because you just the buttons to do damage are a little simpler for me. So.
Listen, that's how I felt when I tried to druid in PvP, and I was like, nope, I can't do this. I give up. I've got 3 different forms, a whole bunch of different skills on each form that I need to. Nope, I can't do this. I would probably like Arena more if I played on my priest, and now I actually probably can. Before it was I'm not going to spend all of the time to gear up my priest PvP set and raid. I was just too busy. I couldn't do that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of why I want to go Holy Paladin, is because there's a lot that Rhett and Preg are supposed to be doing, like putting out heals, cleansing people, freedoming people, popping people. You have all this utility that in order to play a paladin well, you should be doing. And in my head, I'm I feel like I'm looking for an excuse not to be a holy paladin. I'm a Rhett paladin with a spell power weapon, and I'm throwing flash of lights for free, and I'm cleansing half the time. And I'm why am I not just holy right now?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's just simplify this a little bit and be holy. And I figure I mean, why not? I'll have, if I don't like it, I'll have the Rhett gear already, and I can swap back. But it might be a good skill to learn. And I've never PvP healed very much, so. It could be interesting. But
it's so fun. You're muted, Bob.
You're muted.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been thinking about doing with my Disc Priest, is just mostly PvPing and then doing GDKPs to get certain, items in them stuff. Because I love Disc healing in Kata, and it's very similar to Wrath. So I've been thinking about doing that. But I've also heard that if you're lucky enough to be a prot warrior, I've heard prot PvP is freaking amazingly fun. So I don't know.
Yeah, people are out there doing it. I have not run into it at all in arenas for some reason. I don't know if there's a reason why. Honestly, it could just, obviously it's probably the classes that we play. I play with Kim a lot, Shadow Priest, and then either Preg or Rhett Paladin. But warriors are the worst class in the game. It feels it's a relief when I see a warrior, which is
really
it's so 180 from TBC, where it's no, another warrior. But if I see Holy Paladin warrior, Kim and I are laughing to each other.
Yeah.
Really? Because
yeah.
there's so maybe it's just season 1. It's not great, but
wait, does Kim play Shadow or
basically
Shadow?
Basically, Arms Warrior. PvP is supposed to be the rogue of TBC, literally can twos with any partner and have great success.
I think Paladin and Preg especially was made to be anti-warrior. So I really do think that class choices might be a big factor.
Well, I've heard
for the most part, no one DPS can handle Rhett Shadow Priest. We both put out so much healing. Just naturally, it's really hard to kill us, and we put out a lot of damage.
You and I should try Prot Pally, Prot Warrior.
Oh my, Prot Pally is actually, I was playing
I've
Prot
heard
Pally
it's
in
pretty
Freeze,
good,
and it's legitimately good. You have a shield that just AoE interrupts, silences people. It's really good in Freeze.
Well,
I imagine it's good in 5s. I've played no 5s though.
Well, just you'd have to respec the prot spec a little bit, but just getting that
normal prot,
getting that 30% damage reduction on intervene. Can you imagine people trying to kill the two of us and then got land hands, and then you got like different spot heals, and I've got all like AoE
second
stuns, and I
For the
mean,
record, you cannot lay hands on an arena.
oh, you can't. That's a bummer.
No.
Yeah, yeah, you couldn't
That
do it
would be,
before. I didn't know if that had changed in Wrath.
No, I think it's still too long of a cooldown, technically.
It's also
Or
the
maybe
one
they
that
just like
yeah,
targeted it.
it doesn't get reset on bosses either, which is a good thing.
They don't want to give it to you. So,
That's
but yeah,
fair.
that's been my Wrath. I think it's great. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And I like how accessible it is to everybody. I know, like, we're talking about how arena is a little confusing, but like the quickness that you can achieve gear and like get in and play is, I think, is a really important piece. And if you're just a raider, you can get Hateful with Valor. Like, it's so nice how they've incorporated it, where it's like you have an easy way to get into it. You can just do Winter Grasp and get plenty of honor to like get all your off pieces. You don't have to like grind BGs if you don't want, and you just like don't feel like rushing.
See,
and it's nice. And the PvE pieces, like, I'm excited because there's so much gear that like, oh, I'll be able to get like healing rings if I want. I already got like a really sick healing trinket for PvP Holy Paladin, that like forethought talisman or something like that. It applies it has like a chance on a direct heal to apply like a hot, and then it's like 110 spell power or whatever. So it's really nice.
It'd be nice if you could queue Winter Grasp wherever you're at, because during the day, I'm usually doing like weird piddly shit, like trying to do achievements and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, I don't want to go back and queue for it. I wish you could just queue like you can the rest of the BGs, and they could just go right back to what you were doing.
It's kind of arbitrary that you can't. Like, there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to. But I've been having fun with everything. Arena is definitely a challenge to overcome. I feel like a baby. Because I still whine like I did when I was 14 about Death Knight.
Oh God.
I'm like, ugh.
That's because they suck.
What the heck do Death Knights even do? He's at 5% health and now he's full health. What the heck? Like, it feels like we'll 2v2 any Death Knight comp. We'll kill the non-Death Knight, and then for some reason it suddenly gets harder to kill the Death Knight. Like, that Death Knight almost always can 1v2 us. Like, we'll win,
oh my God.
but it's scary the whole time. You're like, what is he doing? Like, stop. He like sacks his ghoul for 40% health. Now, the real answer is probably like, I'm supposed to be cleansing all their diseases more proactively and stuff. Like, I'm sure there's stuff I could be doing, but I just don't know Death Knight that well. So it's just like a frustrating mess of like, they're gods. Like, I can't do anything about them.
And also, I feel like cleansing, as a person who has to cleanse a lot of stuff, I feel like cleansing is so annoying in like those situations where, especially as a healer, it's like, I'd be doing arena and Bob be like, you need to dispel me, or you need to cleanse that off of them. You need to cleanse that off of them. And I'm like, listen, I am running for my fucking life and I don't have time to do shit. Okay. So leave me alone. I'm trying to survive.
How I feel about Rhett and Preg, I feel silly. Like, I'm like, okay, we got to kill this guy now. But I'm like, I'm spending GCDs on cleansing. And it's like, how much damage am I supposed to be doing? How much should I be cleansing? That's why I kind of am excited for Holy Paladin, because I'll just be like, well, I'll just cleanse and see how it goes this time. Or like, well, you know, at least it's like, it's all kind of working toward the general theme I'm going for of healing.
Right.
As opposed
I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to not switch my paladin to holy. I'm trying to keep my paladin prod because I've enjoyed like leveling prod, and I feel like it's inevitable that at some point I'm gonna have to go holy because
I don't know, man. Tanks, like tanks are just, I mean, really holy, and I mean, you're like basically you're the hero class of Wrath. Like, you know, it was supposed to be the DK, but it really is the Pally.
Well, let's look at PvE Rhett.
Yeah, true. But PvE Rhett, even though like you probably should only take one, but you definitely want to take one. I mean, they still have they still have the 30% raid, you know, like damage reduction. Like they still have the flash heals. They have all kinds of shit to be good.
They don't use the flash heals, so they don't really have them.
Here's what they have is they bring replenish, right? So you have mana back. So We bring a Shadow Priest and a Ret, and we get our double replenish, so we're good to go. But
yeah, they're just not pumpers, but they're really good for the raid.
yeah, I feel like, which is crazy because I definitely feel like we came into this expansion saying Ret Paladins were going to be pumpers.
We did.
No, we said that they were going to be good in ICC. Well,
yeah, I think that's the problem. Is like everyone looks at like the end, and now we're like at the beginning, and it's like Warriors are the ones though that are in the toughest spot right now. I feel bad for DPS Warriors right now.
Me too,
dude.
Man.
We did this pug group with this DPS warrior who literally just pumped on everything.
Oh, he was a pumper. Yeah, he was definitely a pumper. But that's also
was it a heroic?
Yeah, it was a heroic 5-band, and they definitely pumped there.
Yeah, I think it's just like mainly the single target boss stuff that they're just not. There's just no reason. Like they're just not good.
This was at arms, and like he was definitely on his game. Like, so it was probably somebody's alt that was probably in fusion or something. Like he was definitely really good.
A true gamer.
Yeah, he had like a ton of gear, and it was like we had like 1 or 2 Naxx lockouts. Like it was good.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So I don't want to. I definitely want to. We're kind of hitting time, but like I need to like talk to you about the guild because
yes, let us talk about the guild.
Yeah. So like I'll just set it up. So basically, from the transition from TBC to Wrath, Yip took over the role of Guildmaster from former Harskar and formerly in the expansion before that, Harskar and IDD. Those were the 2 co-GMs. Then Harskar was the GM through TBC. Now Yip is the GM and Harskar is the main raid lead.
Yeah, raid leader.
And so Yip has taken over and it's been really good.
Shit show.
And I just I just want to get, first off, let's talk about like, how did that come about? How did you end up taking on the reins?
Yeah. I think the big thing is like, we were already serving the roles similarly. Like Harskar is already putting most of his effort into raid stuff. And it seemed like I was sort of like managing a lot of the personnel stuff and like, just like the other functions of the guild. Just giving a lot of input on random things and like what we should be doing in the guild. So for him, it was just like he just wanted to mainly just define that better. He was like, I really don't want to deal with any personal issues. I don't want to deal I just don't want to deal with the other.
He's
GM
like, I'm spent.
Stuff.
He's he seems like he's too nice for a lot of the things that have like making people sit in raids and things of that nature.
He's very not passive, but like he'd rather not do it. And he's a really great raid leader who puts in a lot of time and effort.
God, yeah.
The best I've ever known.
But honestly, like it's very easy to lead this guild because Harskar is an incredible raid leader. Stoof is incredible, just like managing people and doing loot, and is a huge, has always been a huge part.
Stoof, I've tried to get on the pod many times.
She's too shy. She's
and
too shy, dude.
I've tried to tell her, like, dude, Yip's the hammer, Harskar is the nail, and you are the glue, Stoof. Like, I mean, she really is like an incredible part of the guild that kind of goes. Like everybody says it, but like, you just don't really think about it, a lot when
there's a lot of the behind the
guilds.
scenes.
Yeah. She has her hands in everything, which is awesome. And then obviously Kim runs the guild bank to like a
absurd
that is like
out of this world.
It's just like unreasonable. Like it was like it was crazy in TBC, and now it's like status quo. Like he is like the federal bank. Like things run really smoothly. We have a Discord for all like guild bank functions that like everyone who is in, he handles bringing on people for like treasury roles to make sure we have people who are like helping manage and grow how much gold we have in an organization. So like honestly, like there's probably no other guild that's easier to be the guild master than one with like all these really people who are like they have ownership over these like aspects of the guild.
Well, you also don't have a problem with telling people no. No, that's not okay.
yeah.
That's not going to be. And I mean, I think that's a really good quality that like a lot of people are unable to do.
Well, and I think Yip's underselling himself a little bit here, because even though, like, the problem that usually arises in situations where you have a lot of people who have ownership over different areas is that they still need a singular person to come to lead them and to keep them in check, to be honest, right? Because it could very easily go with one person being like taking over and taking control and like pushing something if the right leadership wasn't in place. And so
yeah, if Kim became a tyrant,
yeah,
I worry about that, man.
right? Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, I think we're in a really good spot. Honestly, like the biggest thing is a lot of us have been together so long at this point that a lot of the like big issues have been hammered out. It's almost like funny to think back of issues we had in vanilla. And I was talking last night while we were raiding, talking about how like, oh, no one in this guild would say that like our healers fucking suck, which happened in vanilla Naxx.
Oh yeah.
Someone who we raided with like all of vanilla had a meltdown and G quit, and I was just like, I'm so like, we're not at a point like that anymore. Like we don't have a bunch of these people who are like weird wild cards that could be like going off at any time. Like a lot of this stuff has been resolved over time. Like
I will say in our healer chat during the Undying run, we were like, if one of us dies, it's gonna be a shit show. People are gonna be very angry at us. We're gonna get back to the healers suck mudda. Like it's just gonna ruin it.
No, our healers are good right now. I have to say, as much as it hurts me, it's not just healers. Like our melee are good now. Our rogues, we looked last night. I was like, "There's no chance our rogues tricks anybody on trash." And our lowest rogue had like tricks 15 times during trash, and I was like, "That is actually crazy."
And who was the highest rogue?
People. Bob was the highest rogue, and I even went in. I even was like, okay, fine, they tricks, but I bet they like don't do the right thing after they tricks. And you can it's actually super easy to look at trash now in Warcraft logs. I didn't realize this, but when you go to the event log, instead of it just being a huge list of like all the events that happened, it separates it by trash pull. So I can see it's like, oh, you pulled this, and it'll be like tricks, fan of knives, tricks, sapper, and I'm like, you guys are doing it. Like I've got nothing to hate on the rogues for.
Right.
Yep, I've got a macro that does sapper, Serenite bomb on player. Fan of knives, which is my weapon. Like it's got all of it. You have your gloves keybound to something, don't you? Your hyper accelerators. Sinister Strike.
We were looking at, like I mentioned before, we found some really cool spreadsheets and I ran our logs through, and you can like tell the people who have things hotkeyed because it's like you're doing way more bombing than other people, or like you're hitting your gloves way more than other people. Well, and it's like, oh, it's bound in. so like I keep trying to improve things week to week. This last week, I actually went in and looked at like 99 parsers and like their like actual rotation. And I didn't utilize it the best like this last week because we were doing Undying, but like I've been doing different things each week. Like one of the weeks I was like, so I've got my gloves bound to Blade Fury, but that means I'm going a whole 60 seconds without using my gloves. Like I need that on like something I use constantly. So I was like, dude, I'm just gonna stick that right on Sinister Strike. And so like, just like I'm trying to like improve some stuff each week, not trying to build Rome in a day, but like trying to like just keep improving the craft. That makes sense. But I'm just gonna like explicitly say these sheets. I'm bringing them up here. It's role performance breakdown, WoW Classic, Wrath of the Lich King role performance breakdown, and combat log analytics. And basically, you
where these come from?
I don't know. The Paladin Discord was talking about them. They have a Discord. And I joined the Discord like late last night, and I was looking at them, and they're just Google Docs or Google spreadsheets that have like scripts built into them. You just enter like your Warcraft logs API key and like one of your logs, and then you can run all these different spreadsheets, and it basically does what like Ironforge Pro used to do, where it'd be like who used how many consumes, but it goes like way deeper. It looks at like everyone's gear. It'll point out every single enchant that might be wrong on people's gear.
God.
It pointed out, Steve, you might have seen in Discord, Steve mentioned like, oh fine, I have 8 stats on my chest, and you can see like everyone who has 8 stats.
Pretty
instead of
sure
the
we
10
all
stats.
do, right? Does
I know,
anybody
I
have
get
10?
I get it.
Does anybody
I
have
was
10?
thinking- I'm sure
I think I might
somebody
have 10.
does.
You
if
don't
your
have
best
10.
chess,
It's like
It's really
3,000 gold or
expensive.
something like that.
Oh,
it is
Maybe I
like
don't.
very expensive for no reason. I don't know why they make stats the most boring enchant in the game one of the
Yeah.
most expensive ones.
I
every
will
time.
say I would buy it if I got the Bis chest from Malagos, but I have the second Bis.
I just got
Oh, I
my
would
best
never
chest
put it
not
on
that long
second
ago.
list. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's tough. I certainly would not. I get to enchant defense though. Well, sometimes I like defense right now. Definitely not going 10 stats, but it points out like all this really incredible stuff, and I think it's going to be really useful for us going forward because we can just analyze the previous log and it just highlights in red where like issues are. Debuff uptime, buff uptime. It just has like everything in
Will
there.
you tell me if I have wrong things?
Yeah, you do. You have like 4
Damn
enchants that are wrong. Your cloak's not enchanted with a tailoring enchant.
I know.
See, that's there you go. But no, I mean it's like little stuff like that, but it's nice because you get a new piece of gear, and like Stu had like forgotten an enchant on her cloak for a couple of weeks, and how do we run this? It'd be like, oh yeah, you're missing an enchant. But what's really cool is like there's a section that totals how much engineering damage you did in that raid and stuff, and those are things that I don't think you would normally think about. Or
Yeah.
like you wouldn't have the total to work against, but now it's like, oh well, this week I'm going to try to do more damage with my engineering stuff. So it's like a cool way to min max a little bit more without it being like, Bob, we got to talk about your engineering damage. It's
I
like,
do have
and
10
the beautiful
stats, by the
thing
way. Hey,
is,
I do have 10 stats.
wow,
oh shit, wow,
Yeah. I mean, I'm an enchanter.
yeah, dude,
here's the
she's
thing, Bob.
yeah, she okay. So you haven't been
I'm
here.
a cloak enchanter.
Mel's
I have 10
rich
stats.
now.
Okay, damn it.
Like Mel's like with enchanting, like I was like, you should probably just stay enchanting. I bet you'll make a ton of money. Because I was enchanting and jewel crafting back in the day, and I remember just being just rich because of it. And she's like,
You like 20K
up to
gold.
almost 20K. Like,
Yeah,
and I
nope,
haven't given her
same-
any
same
money.
here. I made the right decision. Jewel crafting is what everybody said I should be, which is correct for like amount of stats that I'm bringing into a raid. But I make so much money enchanting. I go do a couple heroics
So
and take
much.
the epics. That's like 500 gold, and I just like was chilling
Yeah.
out. It's
Yep.
so easy. It sounds really incredible.
Well, and you
so
were talking
I'm a bank
about
hoarder. No, hold on. I'm a bank hoarder, right? So I disenchanted a lot of my old gear
Hmm.
from like phase 2, or like, classic and TBC. And then I just made a bunch of like, what's the
mongoose and everything.
It's the
yeah.
auction house for like an unreal amount of money.
Yeah, like the fact that enchanting has like a sellable like product is
Oh,
pretty
so
big.
huge.
It's
Because
so
I'm not
nice.
the one that's going to sit in the city and be like, selling enchants. Who wants an enchant? I'm
Yeah,
like, no, I
I've
don't have
never
time for
been that
shit.
person. But you were talking about engineering damage, and like it's just so cool now that sappers and bombs are so affordable. Yeah,
I know. You
And
can
then,
just
like-
use them as much as you want.
yeah. Well, and like speed pots. Like I literally blow those on trash because they're under 5 gold a pop. Like, so why not? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't have the guts to do that quite yet, but I do agree with you. And honestly, you make gold in a raid. I'm gonna do some quick math right now. I think you make about 250 gold for a 25-man Naxx.
Yep.
250 gold. That's like 80 paste pots or something like that. Like you make all of your consumes back. Flasks are like dirt cheap. Everything is so accessible. I mean, we had people who wanted to quit 40-man Naxx because they couldn't afford their consumes anymore.
I know.
And now it's just
And
like,
now
it's
I
not really
flask
a
to
factor.
quest.
Yeah, there's
Because
no
why
reason
not?
to.
They're 5 gold. Like, dude, I'm gonna
Okay.
make 20
Can we
gold a quest.
also-
Like,
Can we also just say Kim has had a lot to do with the resistance to potting and all of that, right?
to
Because
I don't
using
think those pots-
consumes. Maybe, yeah.
you what? Yeah. Yep,
I don't
what?
take those guild bank pots no more. I'm a rich man all on my own.
I know. I am too. Like, I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, I have 8 blasts of the frostworm. Like, I'm not gonna get any more. But like, it was in TBC, it was huge,
Yeah.
right? Like in TBC, it was, I think, the only thing that really helped our raids go very smoothly and everybody consume and all of that.
Like, I feel like it might have almost been necessary, but at the same time, I guess we made it through Classic, like with the absurd amount of raiding cost as opposed to time. But like either way, he like, yeah, he carried us through that, which was huge.
Dude, it'd be like, all right, make sure you have like 30 shadow resist or like 30 shadow protection potions, and each shadow protection potion's 20 gold or something. And, it's
and
like,
20 gold was a lot in Classic,
you know? Vanilla. Where do I make this money? Like, there's nothing to do for this money.
I also feel like Kim at the same time was sitting over there like, nobody has 20 gold to spend on 30 shadow pot, bro. Like, what? Like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, okay, we're not as auction house savvy.
Well, okay, so we got off topic though.
Hold on, I'm going off topic one more time. A really good way to make gold, if you're struggling to make gold, I think you could make a lot of gold, especially if you have like 2 or 3 characters. Run 10-man Malagos with Surge Needle hard res, because I've seen like 4 of those so far. And if I was just hard resing them, I'd be rich as heck right now.
Dude, Casimo got so lucky in our 10-man group. Like you would, like, Stoof was like, that sells for a lot. And you were like, I don't know, it's his. And I was like, I say give it to him. It's his Biss. And like Cass got so lucky. He was so excited.
He opened the floodgates. Now we've given away more of them. And yeah, I mean, Kim's a big part of that. Kim being able to be like, we don't need to sell them is really nice. And yeah, but sorry, Bob, take us back on the tracks.
All right. So we kind of talked about, like, you know, you taking over leadership of the guild. But what were some of the plans coming into Wrath? Because like there was a lot of new plans. Like we switched from GDKP, thank God, to
DKP. Just normal DKP.
Yeah. Sorry, DKP. I screwed up my good thank God thing. Damn it. But like we switched to council. You know, you were like, you know, planning to do a second raid. I mean, there was a lot going in. So what were like some of the plans, and like how did it, you know, turn out?
Yeah. So the first thing is that DKP was having a big issue with really smart, good players not taking upgrades. That was like
people
a big
would
issue
only take Biss instead of taking second and third upgrades.
Yeah.
Is it really smart? You know,
it's not smart for the guild. It's smart for them when they like at the end of the tier want to have the best gear, but for the guild progression, it was not smart. Like we had, you know what? I'm gonna say his name. Our good friend. Actually, I don't want to say his name. I'll just say Skeet. That's his actual name. He was a chronic off spec bidder, which is in the rules, which we wanted in TBC because we knew people were going to want a PvP. So we wanted to have some way for people to get their PvP gear in raid, but it didn't really work out that way. Instead, like second and third Biss was going to off spec and not getting used in our raid. So right away, something going into Wrath is we wanted to be a little bit more competitive than we had been. Our guild was getting pretty strong. And Wrath is definitely like where things are accessible and we can move faster. I think that's like that was like the goal. We're not going to get like stuck on like Lady Vash week to week. Like we were pretty certain that we're going to be able to get this stuff down with how good our players are. So we wanted to go faster. So for us, Loot Council solves 2 things. Loot should be distributed better for the raid, without like denying people good items. Wrath just having more items is a part of that. TBC had like no side grades, so like even if we loot council TBC, I don't think it would have been good because there's only like one version of the chest. Like Lady Vash's chest was so good for spellcasters, and every spellcaster needed it, and there was just no other chest to wear. It was just like
And
okay.
I was the second one after Ozzy who quit, not Ozzy who listens to the show, but the other Ozzy who quit. I was the second one to get it, and I got it because I paid 30 DKP for it, and everybody else underbid. You know what I mean? Like, and that's
yeah. So like, it's just it becomes a game, and I think part of the issue as well is that it puts people against each other. No matter how you look at it, it puts people like bidding against each other.
it really does, dude.
We only had 2 rogues, yet there was still like always drama involving them because it's like, oh, like we need the Morgrim sword. Who's gonna get it? If like Casimo's not there, then ID got his Morgrim sword for like 1 DKP, which threw like everything off. Like it's all these crazy issues like that.
I think we talked about it when the podcast started. Me talking about tanks getting like, you know, because tanks were like getting DPS gear back in classic, you know, vanilla. I talked about how, you know, like they were taking these items for like really low, you know, DKP because they had so much DKP spent up because they only spent, you know, a few DKP on each tank piece because no one else rolled on it. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that type of problem.
It also allows us to have a deeper roster without people feeling like they're missing out. So somebody who's in, one of our other options or new things we wanted to do going into Wrath is have a second raid, which is still getting off the ground for the most part, but we're in a decent place.
It's run great every week so far.
Yeah. Then the nice thing is that Naxx is like puggable. That's like the biggest thing that's helped that come along.
Well,
if
and
like
Harskar
of a raid.
Is an amazing raid leader that just literally calls everybody's cooldown.
And he's willing to play like 6 nights a week right now to get it off the ground.
Dude,
so that's super helpful.
When the first night that I tanked 25 man with him, I popped I popped shield wall, and he goes, "Bob, I'll call that if you need to use it." I was like, "You're doing all this shit? You're gonna." Aren't you cool? Like, I was like, I'm just worried about playing my class over here, you know?
You guys are just like little, there was some game, it might have been a tribes game, but like, it was basically like an RTS where, you know, you like control a bunch of like little minions or whatever who like might go mine for you, except that those minions were real players. So like one person would be a general and they would just like teleport people to the mines to go mine, or like Harskar's like, you guys aren't, I'm the one playing your classes. I'm the one controlling everything.
Dude, in Battlefield 2142, that like there was a role playing like and like you actually got a different view. You didn't play the actual game,
a general role.
Yeah, and you were a top-down view where you like direct everybody. So cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's how Harskar is like. So that's been really good. But what we wanted to do is for players who are consistent in that second raid, if we need to pull them up to the first raid, or if we want to have a deeper roster where some people are on that second raid, they would come in with no DKP, even if they are someone who is like there a lot. And it just becomes an issue. We want to be able to like reward people for what they do in the guild as well too. So like it's just an easy way to get around that. And we're still like we're having some growing pains, but I got to be honest, it's really nice right now with Harskar basically doing 90% like of the loot council. I think the biggest thing we just have to make sure of is having a conversation well ahead of Ulduar about the items that are going to be the most contentious, who they most likely should go to. Like, I think we had some issues with like the Grim Toll trinket and stuff like that, where we weren't 100% sure, which I think made things more complicated. So going in with knowledge of that a little bit better will be good. But there's so many side grades that it makes life a lot easier. And honestly, RC Loot Council popping up like it's a roll window and we're just like, and we get to just keep moving on is awesome. I think the last problem to solve is just like getting Harskar. He basically like has to AFK trash right now. Which is like,
I mean, he's ideal, a Fury warrior.
It's not.
So he's actually played the perfect class to AFK trash.
Well, we actually made that switch. Well, there's 2 reasons we made the switch. One, Harskar's just doing a good job going in there on his own and like looking at all the loot. And then 2, it made more sense for him to do it over Stoof, because not having your whole
healer
up is more of an issue.
Caused a lot of deaths.
Yeah. So that's been Blue Council has been really good. Second raid, so far so good. We've had to pug it a lot, but we just absorbed part of a guild that broke up. Everyone seems cool so far, but this is the first Saturday raid, I think, this upcoming weekend.
There was one
Cool.
guy who was blocked by Stoof. I was fishing the other day, doing some achievements, and he was blocked by Stoof. They're like, "What did you do to this guild?" And he's like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, I normally just block people who've spammed, like general trade chat." And he was like, "I might be guilty of doing that."
Yeah, I mean, they might be some wild cards, but having some consistency in that raid, like the big thing is we don't want to we want it to be able to run on its own at like a strong level. We don't want to have Hearthscare there all the time, or we don't want to have like half alts all the time. So that's a really important piece, and I think we're getting there. I'm a little nervous about a Saturday raid, just because Saturday is when people are busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the consistency
I actually
of a Saturday raid, right?
I do actually want to talk about that. I haven't talked to Hearthscar about this, like, because I'm planning on main tanking that raid as long as Hearthscar will let me, right? But like, I thought about like, well, what if I have to like go to a convention or something like on a Saturday? And I thought to myself, well, that's the beauty of having the two raids. Like, I could literally be like, "Hey, Fab, are you busy Saturday?" Because if, my rogue would miss out, yes. But as a key role, I could be like, "Fab, could you main tank the Saturday raid and I'll off tank the main raid for you this week?" And it just leaves us with a lot of options. You know what I mean?
We have a lot more flexibility. And the fact that we can get alts geared up easier and in that 25-man raid as well too is if two healers can't make it a Tuesday, we have like 8,000 healers now suddenly that are geared enough to be able to raid in a 25-man setting. So it's really nice. I think that our guild is going to be in a really healthy spot, and I'm kind of excited to see for like the next tier of heroics. And am I crazy? Heroic pluses are coming out, right?
They are. When Ulduar comes out, they're supposed to come out.
That feels like something I dreamt about and like made up, because it's like actually that's pretty wild. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have like a deep guild of people who are like down for that.
Listen,
like,
back to this whole switch of competitive and like completion raid. Like when this was first announced, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so awesome!" And then like a week passed, and I was like, "I wonder if I'm going to be in the competitive raid. Are they going to want me in the competitive raid? I feel like I'm kind of competitive. Maybe I'm probably not the best competitive person." And I was like, and Bob was like,
she was really freaking out.
I was like, "I don't know."
You're shielding good. I don't know. You're doing good.
I mean, I've got my one button. It's wonderful. I feel like a warlock.
No, yeah. I mean, that's good. I think that competitive raid, we'll see how it goes. Naxx has been really easy. That's like a big problem, I think.
Yeah.
For, like hammering out like technically where people belong, but everyone's been performing really well. Like we one shot Immortal when we went for the first time. Like all signs are pointing to good. So I think Ulduar will be a good test.
It was a good, like Naxx was good for us to kind of establish the two raids, because it being really, really hard and people not working up quickly enough or not having the time to like be in the raid. Like I feel like it would have been more detrimental if Naxx was really, really hard,
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
what I've always said.
What have you always said?
Oh, the first raid of every expansion should be easy.
Yeah, it's like it's a nice little intro. Everyone can level at their own pace. Like I said, Riley, who has not really been raiding with us, is a gamer unholy DK. So like being able to bring in someone who's going to be doing 8k DPS on bot, like we have all these people around who can do a lot of good work. Like Vinlock, who is a really strong warlock, has been busy with school sometimes and missing raid, and it's awesome that we're not really like missing a beat when somebody can't show up.
Right.
It's not like, I mean, FJ, our most consistent, really incredible player, is taking a break, which at any other time would be like a freak out moment. I feel
because Buttery stole his PI on Patchwork the other day. Did I tell you that story?
No.
So Butters So Butter said, "Hey, can I get your PI on Patrick?" And I was like, "You're gonna have to fight FJ for that. I've been giving it to
And then he
FJ."
quit.
And then no. And then he goes, and then he messaged me like later on, and he's like, "Yeah, FJ said it was good." And I was like, "Okay." So I switched it to Butters. And then after the boss, Butters messaged me and was like, "What did FJ give you to give him the PI? Or what did Butters give you to give him the PI?" And I was like,
Oh my
"He said
God.
you said it was okay."
That is a good little trick. And be like, yeah, we already talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it. He said it was fine. I can parse this week.
That's funny. PI should work the same way as tricks, though. That's bizarre that it doesn't. I guess they can't measure it the same way, but like any external buff like that, they should like try to discount a little bit in the logs because like you can just.
I don't know if it does.
I think it does. Maybe not. Maybe they're just interested in like the number
Tricks,
on the log.
Tricks is easy because it's a flat damage percent. So they could take it out super easy. Whereas like
much more confusing with PI and
and
stuff
PI
like
is one that they can't do. But yeah, I think LZ's been a really good addition to the raid, who has kind of taken over that 99 across the board parser type of role, you know?
Yeah, he's very good. There's a struggle with people like LZ. Hopefully he's not listening. No.
He has been in chat here and there.
Most people who play at the level LZ does in like PvP or in PvE are typically have some kind of personality disorder. But
I will agree with that. I'm sorry, but he doesn't seem like he does.
He's a normal guy.
Yep.
I don't know. He's
You're just waiting for the shoe to drop, right? You're waiting for like the explosion.
Yeah,
you never know. Like, he's really good.
So, like, the first time I had to lead a 10-man, well, the only time, actually, but, like, I had to lead the 10-man. Remember, we were doing the 10-mans, like, week 3, and you're like, all right, Bob, go lead your raid. I was like...
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. Like, LZ helped tremendously through that because I got, like, a lot of, like, coaching afterwards. They're like, Bob, you just need to say, like, this is what we're going to do. But I was the whole time be like, okay, I think we should do this, 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 and this. What do you guys think? You know, and like most people told me, dude, just tell them they're going to do that, you know, and just do it. But LZ jumped in and gave a lot of different things and gave a lot of different ideas for how we should do stuff. And then it was funny because like I was super grateful. But after the raid, he was like, he sent me a message, was like, sorry, dude, I'm just in like a bad mood. And like, you know, I'm sorry if I overstepped. I was like, no, dude, you helped the shit out of me. Like I was scared.
Someone that good should not be being that nice to people.
Right? This is not normal. This is
No, I mean we are blessed with good. The people who are left in this guild are good players and good natured. We are very.
They are.
We're in our best. We're in our best spot, personality and play wise. So we're in a really good spot right now. Which is
crazy, right? To think of like how long we've been together and how many people are still part of the original crew, right? Like, I mean, I would say probably the majority of people raided with us in Classic.
At least at some point in Classic,
yeah. At some point in Classic, yeah. I think that's probably the case.
It's nuts to just think of like, and it goes to the leadership. And I think the way the guild's been managed, I think, you know, the changes have been made when they needed to be made. And, you know, things have run smoothly for the most part. You've had that, you know, off toxic person that is no longer there. But
and you've had reformed toxic people. I'm just saying.
I'm really stoked that people came back too who were not playing with us in TBC, the two names being like Vinlock and Stormex/Tormex. Tormex I love. Great dude.
Oh yeah. I loved him in Classic and like he's come back. It's been great.
It's weird. It's like kind of weird to disappear for a year and a half and then just like immediately come back. Like that is cool that we are able to do that and like everyone.
It's like you didn't miss a beat, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Tormex, how's it going?
Welcome back. Yeah. So like all that has been really, really good. And I mean, as long as the second raid doesn't tear our guild apart, I think we're definitely in a good spot.
I've got my brother who played with us in Original Wrath and he's been playing retail he like is a mythic raider in retail for a long time, and he came downstairs and he was like, what the fuck happened to the server you left me on? I logged in and it's all Horde. And I was like, oh, yeah, we transferred to Benediction. He's like, okay, I'll transfer to Benediction. And I was like, so you can't transfer to Benediction? It's locked right now. And he was like, so I'm just on this server? And I was like, I think they're offering free transfers. And so he transferred to this like Sky Fury or one of the other servers that you could transfer to. And he's like, yep, same thing. Thank you for this. I'm so glad you left me here. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Someday they'll open up transfers to Benediction, maybe. But
that does remind me that launch was actually horrible with Q.
yeah.
I did forget to mention that. Not going to harp on it. Hated their communication during it, and then not great launch for that reason.
It was bad.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the town halls, I think, have been really cool. It's kind of hard to get people to chirp up at them at times, but at the same time, who had the idea to come up with the town halls? And I think it's really cool. I think it sucks for people that can't make it there. I hope you guys can unlist a recording of it soon, because I was streaming it.
I've been recording them, but occasionally something awkward happens in them, and I'm like, I'll wait on posting this happens. But I think either having like a text breakdown would be good, and probably a couple of times we've had like anonymous submissions so that people could like voice things without having to be vocal during it. I think that there are some ways to optimize what we're doing right now, but the main point of the town hall is to update everybody on what's going on. Right now, we've been having them every other week. And then the other thing is to voice any complaints. Something that happens every expansion is just like the festering of like some nonsense that is so easily fixed.
Yeah,
that,
but
we either
people
don't hear about it or like, or the worst thing that happens, and like I've done this, so like I'm not excused from this behavior, but you get into a Discord call after raid, and then over the next like 4 hours, you're staying up way too late, and you're just like getting mad about some nonsense.
And somebody
that's why I stopped hanging out in Discord after raid. That's literally why I stopped doing that.
They're like, why didn't I 99 on this? And it's like, oh, this guy did that, and you're just like in this weird like feedback loop of annoying things. But it's way better for us to just address things immediately. Like, for instance, we did a bad job setting up a first, like, I think it was the Sarth 3 Drake 10 man. And I think that without expressing that we're open to suggestions and having town halls, that might have festered for like weeks and weeks and weeks until people were like you're always nepotism in these like 10 mans. But for us, that like isn't where it came from, and we were able to address it that first week. We set up an achievement channel, and we're going to set up a spreadsheet to make sure everyone gets their achievements, and then going into Ulduar, we'll be in a much better spot figuring out how to get everybody in their achievements than the first time. And a lot of us have been together for a long time. Most of us are friends, some of us might not be, so they might feel weird about things sometimes, but being able to like voice issues that you have, I think, is really important, and that's where the whole point of the town hall comes in, is to make sure issues aren't festered but fixed. And I think as long as everyone understands how we're approaching this expansion, as far as like we want guild health, we want our guild to compete well. So like, yeah, you might not get every BIS item that you want. We're not DKP. We're going to do loot council because we want to make sure there's a good gear spread, stuff like that. As long as we have that philosophy, if there is like a challenge to our decision about something, we can be like, well, we think it's better for the guild for this reason. And if someone has a better idea, then we can incorporate it a lot easier.
Yeah, like reassess,
Well, and I
came up with the town hall. Yeah, what's up?
Well, and you talked about like friends and stuff. I liked how, like, in one of the town halls you pointed out, like, you don't have to be friends to be very successful at work, with someone that like you like aren't going to hang out with, afterwards, but like you can still be professional and get along with them. And I thought that was a really cool take, because that's the way it is. There's going to be cliques in a guild. That's just the way. Like, I've never seen a guild that everybody loves to hang out with everybody. I've just never seen that happen. Maybe it does. I don't know. In, the mythical land of Narnia, but like,
yeah, it's 25 people. It's just too many. It's just impossible for everyone to all
Which
be
is
like,
hilarious because we had 40.
Yeah, and in our 40, there are people who like hated each other.
Oh yeah.
We could never get to a point with 40 where it's like we all love each other.
I hated one person.
True.
I still worst part of classic.
I've let it go.
Let it go.
But
you're a stronger man than me. Yep, you're a stronger man than me.
But yeah, I mean, I think we're in a really healthy, like we're not in like a toxic position at all. But like even as GM, there are times where I feel like I'm outside of like cliques in the guild. Like it's a thing that everyone will feel like, oh dang, these people are hanging out a lot and doing these heroics. I don't get to do heroics or something. Like everyone.
You get the GM effect though, right? Like they're like, we want a bitch. We're not going to invite Yip, right?
True, actually. Good point. Yeah. Good point. But yeah, so for the town hall creation, I want to say Harscare was the one who brought up that we should do them, but I definitely first brought up that we should have guild meetings in that one place in the Dwarven district. The one where we had our first town hall. I love that giant room.
That would definitely be a you thing.
I love the role play aspect of it.
Yeah,
I would love to do the whole thing in character, but we
well, like, yeah, like I had missed like coming on my actual tune, and this last one I was like made sure to put it on my calendar and like be there with both of my tunes sitting on the bench, like, but it was interesting because it was something that I learned. So initially I was like, oh, definitely stream this is great, and then people can watch it afterwards, and then I was kind of called out by Kim, like, hey, people might want to say something that they don't want the public to know. And like, at first I just thought to myself, well, I asked Yip and Harskar if this was okay. They said it was. But then I kept thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, you know what? Kim's right. Like this.
He forgets that Mel also brought up to him a few compelling points, but I'll let that go. It's fine.
But yeah, you just got to think like, oh, well, yeah, people might not talk because it's being streamed, and they might not want to, like, they might not say things they would have. And I was just like, oh, well, then I definitely shouldn't stream this. So I didn't. But at the same time, I had two people message me that didn't make it to the town hall. Oh, she's Addie in Texas in my chat, but I forget the name of her priest. If I saw it, I would know.
Willow.
Yeah. And then also iPod messaged me like, hey, what happened to the town meeting? And I'm like, well, I told him, as much as I could, but like, at the same time, like just being able to recall that. And they're like, iPod was like, I wish they would record them. I was like, well, how do you do that then if you're trying to like
recordings of all of them? I record them
maybe
through OBS each time, but
maybe you should post it unlisted or something.
I think we probably will do that going forward, and I just need to like get better about like hiding my chat, because like someone might message me some dumb stuff during it, and I'm like, now I can't just like straight upload it. I gotta like.
Well, I mean, I can record it. All of my stuff's hidden, so I could record it and like send you the VOD or post it unlisted or something like that for just internal use.
Yeah, I think that is important. Minimally having a write up of what happened, because it is.
I was gonna say. So here's the thing: is that I work and we have a lot of meetings, and they always record them for people that aren't going to be there. And I can count on one hand how many times I have watched a recording of a meeting that I wasn't able to attend because I don't have the time to do that.
Yeah, I think,
right?
I think
if it was the one meeting for your guild, though.
No, I think, yes, it's a meeting for my company that I probably should watch, but I think a write-up would be much more effective.
Having meeting minutes, I think, is more effective. We have a channel for it already. We just got to get into the habit of doing it, I think. And I ended up having to do it anyway when people messaged me, like you said. I got messages like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Okay, well, we're absorbing a guild, so I better
Right. Here's
let
the medium
people
minutes.
know. Yeah, like here's what's going on. So yeah, definitely a couple more things to iron out, but I really like it. I like the cadence so far. I think it's a good place to kind of like talk about what we're going to be doing, how we're going to go after achievements and stuff. That's really useful. And I'm hoping, like, I hope people are down for like pushing speed and stuff. And I think that that's a good place where we can hammer out some of that as well too. Like, hey, I know we need to do achievements still. Like some people might need a 4 horseman kill still, but we also, our speed is like, oh, another thing that these sheets do is they tell us how much idle time we had. How much time do you think we spend not in combat from the first pull in Naxx to the time we kill KT? If you had to guess. Normally we're in there for about an hour 35. An hour 35 is about what we're in there for. How much of that
25 minutes.
Hold on. Does it count before any time in there before first pull? Okay.
First pull on trash.
25 minutes. Is that right?
11
minutes. 11 minutes.
It doesn't give a percentage. I would guess.
Yeah.
Hold on. I would guess like total idle time where no one's doing anything. We take sometimes like a 5-minute break. I would guess like 16 minutes.
So some of this is unavoidable because people have to drink or a boss is padding. Not this last week, but the week prior. So not the Immortal one, but the week prior. We spent 52 minutes not in combat.
No way.
How?
Yep.
And you sure it's first pull?
Yep. Because we waited 3 minutes on patchwork. We waited 3 minutes to go into KT. It all just adds up. It has a breakdown of where you wasted all the time too, between pulls. It was really incredible to see. And I was like, I can see 20 minutes being needed for waiting on stuff, but if we could shave 30 minutes off our Naxx time, that would be insane.
How long are we in there typically?
An hour 35. So I think it was an hour 35.
And we spend 52 minutes not in combat?
That sounds wrong.
I know it sounds wrong, but it lists all the trash and everything that it literally has a breakdown of every wing and how you've performed in it and what you've missed and what you didn't hit kill, and it's got everything.
Wow.
Wait.
A lot of time.
Can you send this to me in our chat so I can definitely put it in the notes for anybody else wanting to use it?
Yeah, I put it in the logs thing, but I'll get you the full spreadsheets.
Does this take into account, is this your personal downtime?
No, it's the whole raid not being in combat.
Yeah, that sounds
but
so
the whole
crazy.
raid not being in combat, or just
total idle time was 52 minutes 5 seconds. So
Jesus Christ,
we waited 2 minutes 24 seconds on 4 horsemen. We waited 4 minutes. How was that even possible? We waited 4 minutes before pulling a Nubricon. Maybe we took a break there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we really had to prep for a Nubricon, right?
We have been doing different fights differently too,
and
on different ones, and talking about it a little bit.
3 minutes on patchwork. We're always waiting on patchwork to pat and stuff. So that's an issue there.
Which we have 3 rogues. We should be able to hold patch the entire time if everybody waits and does it
at this point, there shouldn't be much to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if we go in intentionally being we're going to cut down on this time, we're just going to go, I think that we would be impressed. I think it'd be impressive how quickly we can get in and out of
it'd be cool.
There.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to talk about?
Wait,
just
hold on. Does angry assignments still work like it did in TBC?
Probably. What part?
We just haven't.
I mean, just the add-on. I was just wondering, would it be more efficient to when we start
in there and stuff? Or...
Yeah. When we start, be okay, here's our game plan for this raid, right? When we get to Grobulus, this is who's going to heal. This is who's going to do this. And then before we pull, it's we spend some of that time initially and then go through it seamlessly,
Yeah, no, I think that's a smart way to do it. Like having a full game plan and then just going. Because yeah, I mean, there's a chance that maybe some of this is wrong, but like I can see this breakdown of like how long we're in between every trash pull, even like after Vesuvius.
It's crazy because I feel like we moved pretty quickly.
We took 2 minutes between Vesuvius kill and pulling the unholy axe that comes next 2 weeks ago, and it's just like I don't know what we're doing. But it doesn't sound wrong. Like if someone died, maybe we're rezzing and chilling for a second, and talking about something. But I think being intentional. Grand Widow, Faralina, that's another one where we're like drinking a lot and waiting before we go in rebuffing. But I think if we go in intentionally, we can get really good speed. But a lot of that is like easier to just like talk about in a town hall instead.
Right.
And then Bob, you had a question about anything else?
Yeah. I was just gonna be like, is there anything else you want to like really hit on about like? Because it's really like everything has just been like the loot council change. Everything has just been a good change from my point of view. And I mean, I didn't even get a piece of gear in the last Naxx, but it was freaking. Yeah. I mean, it didn't feel bad. Like I didn't feel like I got gypped, right? You know what I mean?
It's definitely a player mindset thing, and I think like going in with expectations and like. Rat's fun. Like it's fun to play your class. For most classes, it's not like super boring anymore.
It is.
So like I think just getting in there and having fun with the gameplay has been good. It'll be interesting once we get into Ulduar and maybe things end up a little bit slower or people might be more interested in the gear that ends up dropping. I'm not sure because I haven't looked at all of like the highly contentious items. The other thing is too that items are dropping a lot. A lot of weapons have dropped. A lot of trinkets have dropped. Like that Grim Toll situation. We had a rogue get our first Grim Toll because all of the rogues said that it was their bis, and then afterwards all the rogues were like, "It's not our bis."
Who got Grim Toll? It's bis for me in Ulduar as a combat rogue. It's not bis ever, except for on what Simon I's found, like on Lotheb.
If that were like the vast chest or some other item like that, it'd be a problem. But we've gotten like 4 of those now or something. Like the loot has been flowing, and I think is just like that's just like how the raids are set up, or maybe it's just Naxx, but as long as that kind of like loot velocity still happens, I don't think people will be too upset. Everyone will
listen. I made myself and Bob for both his characters this spreadsheet that you could sort by like boss and like
it's helped me a bunch on my like 2 different characters.
Bis loots, right? Like, and I was like, okay. Because I don't have enough time, especially because I'm a healer, and usually you go from like the boss to the next trash pack, and I'm like trying to figure out like, do I need this item? And yeah, it's been very helpful.
That's sick. Yeah, I think having that stuff is good, and if you don't have it, it's also kind of a good thing. Like if you don't know your bis items, then you probably care less. That's like, it's a good indicator for us to be like, okay, you might not care.
I don't know.
I'm just like bummed that one of the other rogues that's not combat got the Grim Toll. Like
did you not even know that happened?
No, like, and I wouldn't even use it now, right? Like it's like I'd literally hold on to it. Like once I get a few pieces of Ulduar gear and start stacking the armor pen, like that's when combat like really takes off. And you're gonna see in Ulduar, combat takes off when I get the armor pen. But like I don't like now, it's actually like a loss of DPS because of the stats that I have, so like but like it's just
the
like
the issue though is when we think about like DKP, that person still would have got it. That person would have just dumped all their DKP on it and then like hurt the raid as a whole because now they're not getting other items they should be getting because they spend all their DKP. Right. So it's on us to like make sure that sort of, I mean, it's not that bad, but it's on us to like make sure that doesn't happen again. But I think it's going to happen way less in Loot Council than it would in DKP, where anyone can just launch DKP against each other and it's like a whole game the whole time. So but no, I think everything's going well. The only concerns are just when things get a lot harder, because right now, like it's hard to balance between like, are we super good or is the just really easy? Because like that's a factor. There's going to be a lot more mechanics in Ulduar that might expose us a little bit more. But everyone that we've been like, we are the strongest we've been, not just DPS wise, but people's like actual play is definitely better than it's ever been. So I feel really strongly about our guild. And yeah, like you said, like I feel lucky that the changes we've made have kind of just worked out. I think there's a chance that like switching to loot council could have been a horrible idea, but it's ending up right now really, really good. The loot's going out fast. And I think that it'll be really easy because we were able to do Naxx in an hour and a half. That means we could just do all the loot at the end. If we can get that down a little bit more to make sure we have enough time and we like send things out. So I'm definitely very interested in doing a speed run. I'm definitely interested in doing I don't know if there's like something like a parse run, but like making sure that we're like getting really good kill times. We've had good kill times, and now like everyone's got their greatness decks. Everyone's like everyone's got all their stuff. So I'm excited to see what we can do when we're not just like trying to live the whole time, but like do as much damage as possible no matter what, and see how quick we can go. So yeah, I mean we're doing good. And it's definitely not just thanks to me. Like I said, we have really great leadership on every aspect of our guild right now. Down to the
Well, you're a big part of it. Yep.
Thanks, Mel.
You are. And like I think
it's
you're
hard for me to
actually
give Yip compliments, but
yeah,
I did.
you're actually, I don't know how to say it, like the fact that you have a strong backbone and can just tell people, no, you're not going to do that, is huge. And I think like, I think we are the best we've ever been. And it's, not just because of you, but I think you're in the right spot.
I mean, dude, all the rogues are tricksing. Like, I feel like I don't know myself because like the melee aren't being bad. The healers aren't being bad. Like
what am I dealing with here?
Why are we doing good? Who am I supposed to bully in the raid? Fab.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we just have 2 pieces of news. We're going to fire through them extremely fast. So let's do it. Time for the news. All right, so we talked a bunch about PvP and arena and stuff, so we're not going to really talk about that, but just wanting to let everybody know that there is a change coming to PvP. They're changing the way MMR works. You're going to actually boost up MMR faster. And if you don't know what MMR is, it's your personal rating. Like, it's hard to explain. Just Google it. Like, there's no way we can explain it for you now. But basically, you're going to raise rank faster with wins and lose rank less with losses. And so they're hoping this will help you hit the limits you have to hit for buying the different pieces of gear. What else is in here that I'm missing?
Which, by the way, I feel like they launched it almost as soon as this blue post came out. Kim and I were doing 2v2 and we were like stuck at like 1150 all day. This came out and we came back an hour later, and after like 6 games we're at like 1300 MMR, and I was like, okay, I was like, do it. I was like, did they put it in already?
Break. I feel like we really improved over that break.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was thinking. I was like,
nice. And this also kind of confirms. So we weren't sure. We had a confirmation that they were going to do the 6 and 12 item level boost in Ulduar, but they have straight up said we're going to boost the weapons and gear for the PvP stuff to match Ulduar. So this tells me that is actually set in stone now, that we are getting the item level boost.
The number is set in stone yet. I think the boost is set in stone, right? So like 6 and 12, it doesn't say here that they're going to boost it by 6 and 12, right? I think the fact that they're going to boost item level is inevitable, but I don't know that the number boost is set yet.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if they're going to boost 12 or 6. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I think
are they going to boost it to hard modes? Are they going to boost it? Because then if they boost it to hard modes,
so here's the thing: they
PvP,
haven't even said 6 and 12 is confirmed for Ulduar, right? And so what I'm saying is I think they're still workshopping some of the numbers to make sure that 6 and 12 would actually like.
Dude, I hope you're right. I hope they just boost them all by 6. Like, I really don't like the hard modes going up by 12. Even though it was like my idea at the very start, like before even Blizzard even talked about this.
It's kind of funny. Like, I'm just thinking about how, like, not being on the podcast every week, I don't have to have nuanced opinions on everything anymore. I'm just like, oh, cool. You guys are like debating. I'm like, yeah,
sure.
But it is cool. Like, this is what I was saying about accessibility. Like, I like that they're trying to get people to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're trying to make things accessible to people so that people will play it.
Maybe they've seen the downtick in arena players.
I think
they have. There's been a lot of talk about it in the Discord that all of us are in, like about
cross server arena.
Yeah, like people are really wanting cross server, and with Benny and Faralina locked at the moment. I mean, like, if you look at every top, like, if you scroll pages along the top arena teams, all Benny, Faralina, like all of them.
Well, and it just sucks for people.
At the same time, though, that would open up boosts for other people. So you have to think about that too.
Here's the thing, though. People that wanted to come back and play Wrath and play Arena and do things, like, they're not able to play with the people they want, so they're not playing. I think the bottom line for Blizzard is if we improve Arena, if we do crossover Arena, how is that going to net more users, right? Will it? Maybe.
Well, yeah, I think one of the it sounds like it's just from the brief Wowhead comments, it sounds like it's really hard to find Arena partners on the smaller servers. Like, if you're not on
I'm sure.
Arena, like, yeah, that's.
I mean, you can find someone going for points, but I do also though feel like this is kind of like the push from different people. Seems like the people that would be boosting for gold are pushing a little harder. Like, which makes sense. I mean, they want their, that's their market, but like at the same time, it's kind of
how so many of these things that we were as classic, like, this is how it should be. Like, it's the same evolution, right? Like, like we get into the same trends where it's like, oh gosh, we wouldn't want dual spec for this, or we wouldn't want, cross server because of this. This is ridiculous. And now it's like, well, we're in this situation. We would like cross server because of these reasons. It's just like, you see the same evolution happening as to why retail got to where it is right now, right? Like,
which is why I want random dungeon finder.
Oh, doesn't everybody?
I want to sit in town. I would do a world tour every day if I just had to sit in town and find my bring me to the.
Did you see that recent meme video from Hamster Wheel?
No, I didn't.
Before you talk about this, can we just talk about the fact of how many people thought that Yip quit the podcast because of the disagreement we had about random dungeon finder?
That's so funny.
I've talked about it many times on stream.
Bad.
Yeah, I've talked
I was mad about it though.
Oh yeah, definitely mad. But like, I was like, guys, I still raid with him. He's the guild leader. If we didn't like each other, he'd fucking kick me. Like, like guys,
no, because then he'd have to kick his priest. Like, he's only keeping you around for me, Bob.
He didn't quit the podcast because he was angry about random dungeon finder. He was definitely angry. He's been angry with me a million times on the show.
Hilarious.
Like no.
That was more general anger to random dungeon finder, by the way. because
wasn't even.
I just think it would be great. I still just think it would be great. I don't do all my
I
heroics
would
anymore.
absolutely love it, and everybody would love it. Like I'm like I've said it time and time again. Blizzard, you confused raid like finder with random dungeon finder. They're two different things. Raiding is the top end of the game. Dungeons are not.
Yeah.
Only at the very start of it, any expansion, are they the top thing in the game. And like everybody leveling up wants to do dungeons. Like there's just so many things. But no, Hamster Wheel did this meme video where he just like showed different clips and he had writing on each clip, and it was like a real life clip of something else, but he was talking about people asking for random dungeon finder still, and it's got this dude talking to a brick wall. It's just like, yeah, unfortunately, like they're not listening to us about this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel that strong. I mean, I obviously objectively think it would be better, but I guess I don't care that much because, like I said, like I don't mind going. Like, if someone only needs a couple days of world tours, if someone levels an alt and they're like, I need a tank, it's fine. Like, we can go do them. It's like not that hard to do. But we're also on the most populated server, like one of the most populated servers.
Exactly.
So like, we definitely have a.
Have you?
Yeah, everything's great on Benny.
Have you used the? Because like Harscars use the their actual thing for the raids. Like he's actually used that to like.
It's good.
Yeah, I've like. Basically, as a like whenever Mel and I run Prot Warrior her main, I literally like don't even talk to people. They request to join the group. If they're a class that's overlapping someone else, I just kick them, and then I just get the next one. And then on my rogue, I've had no problem. Like I literally just request group invite, and I have like a macro to like just copy paste. Hey, 4200 rogue, don't need gear. And like literally I get into anything there I want to. But like at the same time, if I didn't have that, like, but I didn't have problems before, but I was starting earlier. I'm curious with my healer. I'm going to see if it's harder to get in because like, you know, I've only got like 5 epics now with my healer just hitting 80. So like we'll see if it's harder for me to get in, but I haven't had a real problem with it. The only thing is when you join, sometimes you have to do a / reload because it like gets stuck at loading on the
that doesn't happen to me, but I've only done a few.
Yeah, I've done it pretty much for every heroic we've done.
Is that when you're requesting to join? That happens,
it's just anytime I join solo, or it happens on both, or I make the group and join as a group. Like, and I just do a / reload and it works fine. But at the same time, random dungeon finder would be better because people are going to start to reserve everything. Like it's going to get worse.
Random dungeon finder now.
Yeah, I mean, it's random dungeon finder. Like the way it is now is
inconvenient.
It just hurts the people who are at the bottom. Like.
Yeah.
Our original argument, one of them, was that you said that it's bad for people because like you'll you random dungeon and then they'll just kick you without any cause. But in my mind, if you're in that position, you just never get into a group right now. Like if you're a no achievement, no gear rogue looking for a group,
why would kick you when you join?
And I think looking back, I think I was wrong. So, I think I was really wrong, and it's because I was trying to think about it in the sense of back in the day, and it was toxic as hell back in the day. We would kick people, but like now I'll take people that like aren't even good because there aren't even good is the same as someone who was good back in actual Wrath. Like
that is a good point. You really don't have to be
much.
You really don't have to be that discerning. Like I've never been that worried joining a random group. Like, oh no. Well, I guess I'm lucky because I'm on a prop out and like my A prop paladin just like brings the rest of the group to make it go faster. You can pretty much solo anything.
But like
so
even
it's sort of like no big deal. But like it is interesting that like it really doesn't matter who you bring together as long as they're in there pressing buttons. They're as good as that you were used to back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, it actually hurt. Like there was so little information. People were geared so wrong. There were so many problems. And now those problems are solved with so many BIS lists and everything else. That problem just doesn't exist. And there were people that told me this, like in different comments or different messages to me prior. But like, I was just wrong. Like, it's really not a problem from what I've seen. But also, we are on one of the most packed servers. So like, I don't know that like the tool that they've made works that good on any other server. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, you can't like it can only address so many issues. Like it's not a solve all. Only cross server play is a solve all for any of these issues.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
move on so we don't,
we do the last
Yip off again.
Classic Yip episode.
Yep. We are going to have to split off the extra segment that I told you we were going to have again, but I promise I will get it out shortly after this one, maybe even prior to this one. All right, last piece of news is there is no plans to increase the gold cap in Wrath Classic. They're basically saying like they're seeing that the majority, like the vast majority of people, the 90 percentile and lower are nowhere near gold cap. They don't see a reason to have to lift gold cap. I don't either.
Dumb point. I think that's a dumb point because you can put your gold in a lot of different places. But I mean, they don't have to lift gold cap for that reason as well, though. But like Kim, for instance, almost definitely has gold cap. He was gold cap before. I assume he still has it, but he can just like put him on different characters, and then now if they do their scan, he's probably not gold capped on his level 80 at all times.
Oh, true. I get what you're saying. It's distributed.
But does it really matter?
The people that have.
Like, I don't think it really matters that much.
Right?
Like,
How much?
Make yourself a guild bank and put some gold in there.
How much gold do you have at the moment?
Like 12K.
Mel has 20K. If I hadn't like spent, like bought 2 decks, bought the Meccano chopper.
I've been spending like crazy.
Yeah, I've spent like crazy, and I still have like 17K.
Yeah, there's almost no I used to be really big into making gold, but now I like gold to me is just like I expend gold to play the game, and like I've been just making gold while like enchanting and gemming as much as I want. I'll re-gem, I'll re-enchant. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm still profiting week over week. So it's sort of like I don't feel the need.
Chest. It was like, well, yeah. I mean, I've got it. Why not put it on my chest?
Even farming Fell Striker, like in freaking like Ubers, I make 80 to 100 gold an hour doing that. Like, I mean, that's not like, but then if I go quest, like on different characters that still have like a bunch of quests, I make like 400 or 500 gold an hour. And then there's all sorts of other ways to make gold.
Nearly every profession has like some way that you make gold. Like I have jewel crafting on my
jewel crafting, 100 gold a day. 100 gold a day if you sell the thing.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the expansion, it was like 500 gold a day.
And I totally sold everything at the start and got a whole big jump, right?
Yeah, it was just so wild. Yeah, I got my druid online. I was like, oh, well, let me get myself out to Dalaran and start doing the dailies. Because it's also a great way to level because you're doing a quest every day and you're getting rested XP. And you just like slowly are leveling.
Yeah, so like...
You'll get there in 382 days. Yep.
Perfect.
Just doing the jewel crafting daily. I
had remembered not having to worry about consumes, and like it's been wonderful in Wrath for that. So yeah, I don't see a reason to raise the gold cap either.
Yeah, who cares? Like put your gold on another character. Like it doesn't matter.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a banger, and yeah, it's been great to have you back, Yip, and talking to us. Like every time you come back, it makes me so sad you're not here every week. Like, and the fans want you back every week.
Well, this is easier than I would. I would have had to explain Naxx every week, and that would have been a nightmare.
Well,
be like,
right?
now listen to this, guys. we
We did it again pretty seamlessly. Like that's pretty much what it's been.
but
Yeah.
we are
a bit more exciting.
Yeah, we are looking into a possible way to get Yip to do, our breakdown of progression through Ulduar. We don't know if it'll be once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever Yip could do, but like we are looking to do that, so that could be really cool.
It'll likely be much more interesting then.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%.
All right, well,
All right.
guys, that's gonna end the show out for now. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can also follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us any stories or anything, WCRpodcast@gmail.com is where you send those emails. If you want to interact with the host of the show or any host on the Mash Those Buttons Network, it's mash.gg/Discord. Ratings and reviews could help us on iTunes, although it seems like the majority of our listeners are on Spotify. So, just keep giving us those stars. Thank you so much for that. Tell people about the pod. That helps us too. Patreon. We're doing okay on Patreon. But Patreon's actually very important now because the episodes now don't come out until Tuesday. So if you want like the raw audio early, like you can be a healer or tank patron. But also if you're just a lowly DPS Patreon, you can get ad-free audio. And I know you could just push past that, but it is an option there. So Patreon, just search Warcraft Reloaded and you will find us. Last thing is Rested XP, man. You even heard Yip talk about it earlier in the episode. It is the bee's knees. And you can use code RELOADED to save 5% at checkout and support the pod. So definitely check it out. They're going to have they have it now, but they're going to have like the best leveling routes for you in the new expansion. So if you're coming back,
they have retail, they have classic, they have dailies, they have the gold guide, like they have everything, and it is worth your money.
Yeah, definitely check them out. Use code RELOADED. Anybody have an add-on of the week?
Just those sheets. So I'll send you them, and then people should use them. The role performance breakdown and the classic log analytics spreadsheets are incredible. And
I need to look at.
Yeah, I would love to look at it too, so I can see how I can improve. Like I'm planning on doing a stream next week where Zyrene comes in and goes over my warrior logs and tells me how I can get better. Because like I'm sitting at like 80s parses and I'm just like, what am I doing differently or what am I doing wrong? I don't know if it's gear, I don't know if it's rotation, but I'm interested to see how he can tell me how to get better. So I'm curious about that. But
that'll be really interesting. People should tune in and watch that.
Yeah, I'll probably put it out on the YouTube too, just because like it'll help others like get better at what they're doing. There's just not a lot of warrior stuff out at the moment, and so I was like, I need help. Zyrene, help me. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mel Overwatch, or you can find me in game on Mel Reina, Mel Rita. That's my paladin.
Okay.
It's very creative.
Wait, what's your paladin's name?
Melorita.
Oh, nice.
Melorita instead of Melorita.
Yeah, it's like a margarita.
Yeah, I've seen it around, I think.
All right, and Yip, where can we find you?
I don't know. You can find me around somewhere. Yipidin on Benediction is the best place. I technically have a YouTube and Twitter that are TheYipShow, but
He's been too busy managing our guild.
I wish you would stream at least. Like,
dude, maybe when I get a new computer at some point. This thing's on its last legs. My sick 1070 that's 6 years old.
or just like do like a monologue podcast every week or every other week, because like you coming on here and there on the pod, like the people are missing out, man.
The people ask for it. The people will probably not get it, but I'll consider the idea. It just depends. I started a different job in July, and I have not even been able to like play as much as I want to. That's a huge aspect. I feel like I finally went from like, I finally stopped COVID hours and I was like, oh my God.
Up with you.
You guys have been like, what? This is crazy.
I get it.
Oh
I
my
get
God.
it.
Like where I'm logging on at 10:30 to raid. I'm like,
You're like, wait a minute.
Oh man. All right. Well, and you can find me on Twitter at blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/blazinbob, no underscore. All right, let's get out of here, guys.
bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.